What's up, you guys? Sorry, I just got mesmerized. If I'm being honest with you, I was actually just watching my intro again. I'm like, fuck, dude, I made that, dude. That's pretty gas, dude. Cheerio, all mate. Top of the morning to you. Cheers. How was your Friday, huh? What's up? What's up? What's up? We got Anna Ray already up in here. Pretty Ricky, Lacey Lane. What's good? What's goody? What's goody? We got 3 people up over here on YouTube. Who's up over here on YouTube? What's up? What's up? What's up? Bro, yesterday was gas, bro. Dude, I freaking hit 2 streams yesterday. I was invited as a guest onto 2 streams, and I had such a blast, bro. One of them was behind a paywall for Baze's members only. But I was also yesterday morning on ADN 1776's podcast or stream yesterday. And bro, it was fun, dude. How are you guys doing today? What's going down? How's this Friday? You guys ready to move up into this motherfucking weekend, boy? Who's up in here? Yeah, I just want to recommend to all you guys. See this? You can't see it, Facebook. But Twitch and everybody, just be a nice human, bro. That's it. Just be a nice human, bro. That's it. If everybody, we could just start this stream off strong, bro. Let everybody's just start trickling up in here. If you could possibly just follow my lead. I like to start my streams off as much as I can remember to do it with some gratitude, bro. Because gratitude is our human superpower. If we're able to see past all of the potential issues or static or chaos inside of our lives or inside of our own vibration and frequency inside of ourselves, man, just being grateful for the things that are already here. There's, like I said, there's real power in it. I'm tremendously grateful always and every day for my beautiful wife. She works her ass off for us. She goes and has to actually go up into a matrix job and I just admire her resilience, and I'm just grateful for everything that she does, bro. What's up? Kyle Finnegan's in the house. Gear Punk, what's good? If you also could possibly not only just comment something you're grateful for, but maybe also just comment your geographical location on the planet, because for some reason I'm a weirdo, dude, and I like to just visualize the earth and put lighthouses where everybody is and just visualize positive light rays just spreading across the planet. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, dude? Today's going to be wild, bro. We are going to read a little bit of the history of magic. Just 1 chapter today, not 2, because there was a new Mind Unveiled video, and I want to watch it with you guys. If you're not new to my stream, we've watched a lot of this dude's stuff on stream. I'm just saying, bro, today's going to be insane. If you stick around, bro, today's going to be insane. Today's going to be crazy, bro. We're going down the rabbit hole. North Carolina, throw your shirt up, your head, and twist it like a helicopter. What's up, Darlene? I see you. What's good? How are you? Spokane, Washington, let's go. Hell yeah. Can I get a hell yeah? You guys ready for today? So if you're new here to my stream, basically, I'll just give you a little rundown of how today's going to go. All right? I never know where the stream is going to end up. So in the beginning of the stream, what we could even just familiarize is with my opening message, I guess. It's what I like to call is a mindful message. It's something that no matter how long you hang out in the stream, if you give me 15 minutes of your time, I hope that through my words that I can give you something that you can take with you when you close out of this app, when you stop watching the content. You know what I'm saying? Something that you can take in with you in your soul, bro, or your heart, or inside of your frequency or being. Call me a weirdo, but that's what I'm here for. So I tried to see the moon last night, but it was stormy here. I didn't get to see it, bro. I was wanting to see it so bad, bro. I was actually on stream with Baze, and the people inside of his chat was like, there's an eclipse, dude. And we kind of rushed off a little bit off the eclipse and wasn't able to see it. I wish I would have been able to see it. How was the eclipse? How was the eclipse, skis? Was it beautiful? I hope it was beautiful. I think the moon is beautiful. I'm obsessed with the moon. And then even that, like we've been going down these rabbit holes about like astrology, ancient civilizations, secret societies. The sun and the moon have a lot more power that can be used and or harnessed from both of those energetic things in the sky. You know what I mean? You can't deny that they're not energetic beings. You know what I'm saying? One of them gives all life to Earth. The other one controls and nurtures the Earth by controlling the tides and making sure that the Earth runs the way that they're supposed to. Almost like the feminine and feminine and masculine, right? If you can agree with the feminine and masculine, can I get some poop emojis in the chat? Because that's what I think. That's how I feel. So this is basically how it goes for everybody who's new here. If you're not new here, you've heard it a bunch. So because it's been altered, I'm also consistently always trying to up my game, better my craft, sharpen my sword. So it's kind of evolved. If you've been here the whole time, then you've probably watched a whole entire chapter after chapter, bro, of this evolution that Tripoverdrip and Team Human has went through, at least when it comes to live streaming. So I like to start with a mindful message, try to talk about something that you potentially can take with you when you close out of the app, something that's actually positive, makes you think, makes perspective shifts, plants the seed, you know what I'm saying? And then afterward, Melissa, what's up? Melissa, what's good? And then afterwards, normally it's not like this today because we got a 3-hour thing I'm going to try and get in through as much as we can. This video I want to watch with you that's like about 3 hours. We won't get through all of it today. We'll probably finish the tail end of it on Monday morning, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay, so let me say it one more time, just so I can structure the stuff inside of my mind. First things first, I like to start with a mindful message to be able to give you something that you can take with you when you close out of the app. I'm only repeating this because I forgot to push record so I can record it and then clip the whole stream. So, and then after that, we usually go and look at clips on X and use our discernment together to look at the propaganda that's being pushed to everybody and kind of just talk about all topics that are floating on the internet. And then we've started reading a book. The book is called The History of Magic. We've read the first 4 chapters. It was written in 1913 and it is mind-blowing. I do post those videos separately alone. Since I started reading The History of Magic on stream, afterwards I do clip that. And then I take only the reading section and I put it as a standalone video. I also, on my YouTube, Tripoverdrip, I added it to a playlist that says Read With Me. So every single portion of the book, if you need a book to read on audiobook, a book to watch, if you're just super up in the business and want to read with me on stream, you know what I'm saying, and keep it up if you missed the stream, that's where they are. It's on YouTube, Tripoverdrip, under playlist, Read With Me. And then, normally we read 2 chapters. Today we're only going to read 1 because, like I said, we got this video I really got to get into. Mind Unveiled. Shout out Mind Unveiled. The new one came through. Lost Scrolls up in here. We got Dr. Astro Strange, Marie Moon. What's up? Cheryl Young. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for the stars. It means the world. All the support, the love, the encouragement, the merch that you guys purchase. Showing up, hanging out with me every day, clicking all the buttons, like, comment, share, all that stuff. You guys have no idea how much it means because really that's all content creation is having people who support and love and vibrate with your mission. So if you're here, hopefully you vibrate with my mission and you're not here trying to throw me off course by being just so spontaneously negative. There's been a few of those so as of recently. Queen Trip just joined the chat. What's up, Queen Trip? She's up in here over on Twitch. Cobra Kai's up in the house. Let's roll. Okay, so you guys ready for today's mindful message? Throughout this week, we've went down some rabbit holes regarding Freemasonry, the Oddfellows, Tartaria, etc. And inside of those secret societies, there's something called an initiation, right? You have to be initiated into this hidden knowledge. But what if the real initiation is actually just you, the individual, the person that's listening to this, reclaiming your own mind? What if the real initiation isn't learning like secret handshakes or getting into some exclusive room or being chosen by somebody who claims that they have more knowledge than you? What if the real initiation is the moment that you a conscious, divine, eternal being, realizes that your mind is yours. Because there are so many people walking around with thoughts that they didn't choose, beliefs that they inherited, fears that they kind of just absorbed, rules that they accepted before they were even old enough to question them. They're making decisions from old programming, old pain, old survival patterns and expectations, old algorithms, old family stories, old relationships, ultimately like old versions of themselves. And they like to call it, this is just who I am. But really? Is it? Or is it simply what has been repeated around you long enough that you stopped noticing that it was even there? Because somebody can influence you without you even ever locking you in a room. A relationship can influence you. A job can influence you. Money can influence you. Your childhood can influence you. Your friends can influence you. Social media can influence you. The news can influence you. People you are trying to impress can influence you. The fear of being alone can influence you. The need to feel liked can influence you. The need to feel safe can influence you. And none of that makes you weak, bro. Just like me, I love you for this. That makes you human, bro. But there comes a moment in your life when you have to actually ask yourself, like, is this my voice? Or is this a voice that I learned to obey? Because the most effective control is not always someone telling you what to think. Sometimes it's teaching you to doubt yourself so deeply that you automatically look outside yourself for all the answers. You look outside yourself to decide if you are lovable. You look outside of yourself to decide if you're enough. You look outside of yourself to decide if you're even allowed to rest. And then you might also look outside of yourself. How do I say this? You might look outside of yourself to decide what your body should look like, what success is supposed to mean, to decide like which opinion is safe to have, decide whether your intuition is valid. You look outside of yourself to think and come to the realization if you're even worthy of love or peace. And the whole time, your inner voice is sitting there quietly underneath all of that noise, just waiting for you to remember that it's there and to make your way back. So here is some spiritual gold. The deepest initiations is the moment that you stop asking the outside world to tell you who you are, what you're worth, and what you're allowed to believe. So if you're ready to go down this rabbit hole with me and to reclaim your mind from every fear, expectation, old story, and outside voice that has been running your life without permission, for one, if you like stuff like this, you can hit the follow button and or comment your thoughts. But right now you can just comment, my mind is free. Because a system does not have to lock you in when it has trained you to fear the door. A relationship doesn't have to control you when it has taught you that leaving means that you're unlovable. A job does not have to own you when it has convinced you that resting means that you're lazy. Ultimately, though, your family story doesn't have to chase you when it has taught you that choosing yourself means that you're being selfish. An algorithm doesn't have to come to the command when you have trained it. You compare yourself, you panic, you consume, you perform, and you never feel like you're enough. It's consistently learning from you, so it's going to give you more of what you put out. The most powerful cages are not made of bars. Sometimes they're made of beliefs. Sometimes they're made of guilt. Sometimes they're made of fear. Sometimes they're made of the voice that you've heard so many times that you started repeating it to yourself. You're too much. You're behind. You're not ready. You should be grateful for whatever you get. Do not make people uncomfortable. Don't ask for more. Don't trust yourself. Don't speak up. Don't leave. Do not change. Do not question. And maybe nobody is saying those words to you anymore, but those words are still living in your nervous system, dude. They show up when you want to set a boundary. They show up when you're trying to make the decision if it's okay for you to rest. They show up when you have the idea of trying something new. They also show up when you leave something that's hurting you. They show up when you're about to say no. They show up when you start becoming who you really are. So I need you to hear me right now. You're not weak because you have old programming. You're not broken because you simply just learned how to survive. You're not failing because you're still unlearning. Just like me, my friend, you're becoming conscious. And becoming conscious can feel so uncomfortable because you start noticing things that you used to call normal. You start noticing how often you apologize just for having needs. You start to notice how often you shrink for other people so they can stay comfortable. You start noticing how often you start to over-explain because you're afraid that you're afraid no will not be accepted, that you can't say no, that you have to say yes. You start noticing how often you look for validation because you don't even yet fully trust yourself. You start noticing how many decisions that you have made from fear instead of truth. And Team Human, I'm not saying any of this because I'm trying to shame you. This is the beginning of freedom. Because you cannot reclaim what you refuse to see. You can't change a pattern you keep calling your personality. You can't heal a wound that you keep pretending is just how life is. You can't become free while you're defending the cage. And I love you enough to tell you this. Some of the things that you call loyalty are actually fear. Some of the things that you call patience is actually self-abandonment. Some of the things that you call easygoing are actually you being afraid to have a need. Some of the things that you love, that you call love, are actually you trying to earn safety from somebody who has already not learned how to give it. Some of those things you call intuition are actually anxiety trying to keep you from being hurt again. Some of those things you call my truth are just simply old pain repeating itself in a familiar voice. This is why real initiation has never been about becoming special. It's just about becoming honest. It's about learning to sit with yourself long enough to hear the difference between truth and fear. Fear is really loud. Fear sounds urgent all of the time. Fear says, act now, fix this now, text them now, explain yourself now. Don't let them be upset. Don't let them leave. Don't let anyone misunderstand you. And truth is often way quieter. Truth is that whisper that says, this doesn't feel right. I'm tired. I need more. I can't keep doing this by myself. I'm allowed to choose differently. I do not need permission to become who I'm meant to be. And if that's you, bro, and you've been living in survival mode, truth can feel scary because fear has been speaking first for so long. But your fear is not always a warning. Sometimes it's just simply an alarm system of an old version of you that does not know that you're safe enough to choose differently now. Let that land for a second. Your fear is not always a warning. Sometimes it's just an old alarm system trying to protect a version of you that no longer needs to live that way. And the work is not to hate that part of yourself. Really, the hard work is to thank it. To say, I know you're trying to keep me safe. I know you learned this for a reason. I know that you've been working hard, but I'm here now. I'm older now. I have more choices now. I can protect myself now. I can listen to myself now. I can lead my own life now. And that's how you really reclaim your mind. Not by pretending that you never got hurt. Everybody does. Not by becoming perfectly positive. Not by replacing every negative thought with a pretty quote. But to reclaim your mind by becoming aware of the voice that's speaking inside of it. Ask yourself, who taught me this? Where did I learn this fear? Whose expectation am I still trying to meet? What would I choose if I was not afraid of disappointing anybody? What would I believe if I was not scared of being rejected? What would I do if I trusted myself to survive the outcome? And those questions can literally change your life, dude. Because the moment you start asking them, you stop living on autopilot. You stop calling conditioning destiny. You stop mistaking familiarity with truth. You stop calling chaos home. Mostly, like, stop needing every person around you to agree with you before you take an honest step. You begin to remember that your mind isn't a public building. Not everybody gets a key. Not every opinion gets a vote. Not every fear gets to sit in the driver's seat. Not every voice that speaks loudly enough deserves you to be obedient. Your mind is a sacred place, and you get to decide who has access to it. You get to decide what information you consume. You get to decide who you listen to. You get to decide what beliefs that still serve you. You get to decide what stories that you're done carrying. You get to decide whether guilt is going to lead your entire life. You get to decide whether fear gets the final word. And you also get to decide whether the version of you that has learned how to survive is also the version of you who gets to make every decision forever. And here's where I want to be very clear with you. Reclaiming your mind does not mean that you become closed-minded. It does not mean that you stop listening to advice. It does not mean that you reject everyone who challenges you. It does not mean that you think you know everything. That's not freedom. That's just another cage. Real freedom is being able to listen without surrendering yourself. It's being able to learn without being controlled. It's being able to receive guidance without making someone else your owner. It's being able to be wrong, admit it, and not collapse. Nobody outside of you can do the work for you. Not your partner, not your parents, not your friends, not your boss, not your followers, not your favorite content creator, not your therapist, not your teacher, not a book, not a belief system, not the algorithm. Only guidance can help you. Community can hold you. Love can support you. But no one else can become your inner authority for you. That part is only yours. And when you stop handing your mind away, things will start to change. You stop begging people to choose you because you finally choose yourself. You stop over-explaining your boundaries because you know that your no is enough. You stop chasing clarity from people who only give you confusion. You stop letting guilt pretend to be love. You stop letting fear dress itself up as wisdom. And I know for some people that sounds like really big. But it begins in the small moments. It begins when you pause before reacting, or when you don't send a text from loneliness. It begins when you rest without turning it into a punishment. It begins when you notice the old voice and say, "Thank you for trying to protect me, but you don't get to lead me anymore." That's like a real declaration. That's a spiritual boundary. And that's a new initiation, not into a secret room, not into somebody else's inner circle, into your own life. You don't need to become someone else to be worthy. You don't need to have every answer to be trusted. You don't need permission to change. You don't need approval to start your healing journey. You don't need to be afraid in order to be safe. You don't need to keep carrying stories that were never yours to begin with. You're allowed to learn. You're allowed to question. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to become somebody who listens to their own truth. You're allowed to make mistakes and still come back to yourself. And most importantly, you're allowed to leave behind the old version of you that only had to survive by shrinking, pleasing, proving, performing, and or pretending. You're allowed to become the version of you that says, "My mind is mine. My life is mine. My choices are mine. My peace is mine. My voice is mine. I'm allowed to think. I'm allowed to feel. I'm allowed to change. I'm allowed to trust myself. I'm allowed to question. I'm allowed to ask questions. I'm allowed to disagree. I'm allowed to say no, because the real initiation is not being chosen by somebody else. The real initiation, homie, is you choosing you. And if you're ready again to reclaim your peace, stop handing your life over to fear, you can also just one more time comment the words, "My mind is free." I love you, Team Human. Damn, homie. I'm just saying, I like to drop bombs up in here. I'm just liking to say I'm dropping bombs up in here, boy. We drop bombs up in here. Not real bombs, like spiritual bombs. No bombs here. There's no bombs here at all. I just had to fucking feel like I had to clarify. There's no bombs here whatsoever. I've never even seen a bomb in my whole life, dude. But I was dropping spiritual bombs, dude. Shit to shake it to your core, dude. If it vibrated, it vibrated. If it doesn't apply, you just let it fly. You know what I'm saying? You just know what I'm saying, dude. Okay, so this is what we got to get into today, boys and girls and humans and babies and angels. Let me pull up this book, homie. All right, dude. There's no clips today. We've already been going. We're already been live for 30 minutes. I'm really trying to get into as much as I can of this Mind Unveiled video that just dropped last night. Having a little bit of hickey ups. Cheerio, mate. Top of the morning to you. How are you doing today there, huh? We're about to read the history of magic, sir. We just got done with the history of magic in Egypt. The next one was the history of magic. Oh, the Holy Kabbalah. Ooh, shit, boy. We got to go back over here. Where's the top? This history of magic in Greece. Hermetic. So it's somewhere in here. Maybe I skipped past it. There we go. Right here. Magic in Greece. Shee. How are y'all doing today? Oh, yeah, dude. Sean Clayton, bro. Shout out Abundance 10,000 and Base Forge. Bro, they dropped a podcast, dude. I had to watch it afterwards too, bro. It's still so much to process, bro. The thing that got me the most about that podcast was when Sean Clayton was talking about CERN, how they have been able to successfully create orbit by smashing particles together, which they're going to try and put into metaverse to create a matrix. Boom, boom, boom. Shit, boy. It's crazy. We love you, Panda Manda, Panda Mama, Trippy Panda. All right, let's get back over here. Magic in Greece, Chapter 5. We pass now to the period when the exact sciences of magic assumed their natural external form, being that of beauty. We have seen in the Zohar how the human prototype rose in heaven and is reflected below in the waters of being. This ideal man, this shadow of the pantomorphic God, this virile phantom of perfect form was not destined to dwell alone in the world of symbolism. There was given to him a companion under the beneficent sky of Hellas, the celestial Venus, the chaste and fruitful Venus, the triple mother of the triple graces. Roses in her turn no longer formed the sleeping deeps of chaos, but from the living and flowing waves of that echo arpeggio of poetry, where islands embroidered with green trees and flowers seem as they vessel of gods. The magical septenary of Chaldea passes into music on the 7 strings of the Orphic lyre. It is harmony which transforms the woods and the wildernesses of Greece. Harmony. It's all vibration, bro. It's all vibration, dude. I thought they were going to start talking about freaking the divine feminine when they're talking right here saying the triple mother of the 3 graces. Is that Hecate? That's Hecate, right? There's 7s everywhere. You're right, bro. There's 7s everywhere. Just wait till we get into this Mind Unveiled video, bro. I watched like the first 45 minutes of it. We're going to recap it today. Shee, boy. To the melody of the songs of Orpheus, the rocks are smooth and the oaks sway in measures, and the wild beasts become subject to man. By such magic did Amphion raise up the walls of Thebes. The wisdom, the city of Cadmus, the city of initiation, itself a pantacle like the 7 wonders of the world. As Orpheus gave life to numbers, so Cadmus bound thought in the sigils of letters. One established a nation dedicated to all things beautiful, and for that nation, the other provided a native land corresponding to its genius and its love. In the ancient Greek traditions, Orpheus is numbered among the heroes of the Golden Fleece. who were the primeval conquerors of the great work. The golden fleece is the vesture of the sun itself. It is the light in application to the needs of man. It is the grand secret of magical works. It is in fine initiation, as this should be understood essentially. And it was the quest of these, or this, which carried the allegorical heroes into a mystic Asia. Let me see real fast. Can you please tell me who the heroes of the Golden Fleece are when we're talking about Greece?
The main heroes were Jason and his crew of Argonauts, which included notable figures like Heracles, Orpheus, Castor, Polydeuces, Calais, Zetes, Euphemus, Pericymnus, and Mopsus. They sailed on the ship Argo to help Jason retrieve the Golden Fleece from Colchis.
Thank you, Jacob. Can you please tell me what this means when it says Orpheus is numbered among the heroes of the Golden Fleece, who were the primeval conquerors of the great work?
That phrase isn't a standard part of the myth. It's likely symbolic, suggesting these early heroes undertook a foundational quest, a great work, representing bravery and transformation. If you're looking for deep...
Interesting. We just read it out of the book. On the other hand, Cadmus was a voluntary exile from the glorious Thebes of Egypt. He brought into Greece the knowledge of letters and that harmony of which they are images. The new Thebes, the typical city of wisdom, was built to the measures of that harmony, for science consists in the rhythmic correspondence between hieroglyphical, phonetic, and numeral characters, the inherent motion of which follows the eternal laws of mathematics. Thebes is circular, and its citadel is square, like the sky of magic. It has 7 gates, and its legend was destined to become the epic of occultism and the foreshadowed history of human genius. All of these mysteries, all these mysterious allegories, all these inspired traditions are the soul of Greek civilization. But we must be dissuaded from seeking the real history of their poetic heroes otherwise than in the transformations of Oriental history carried into Greece by unknown hierophants. It was only the history of ideas which was written by the great of those days, and that they were at little pains to acquaint us with the human struggles belonging to the birth of empires. Homer followed in their path, marshaling the gods who are the immortal types of thought. It was in this sense that a world's upheaval followed on the frown of Jupiter. If Greece carried fire and sword into Asia, it was to avenge the profanations of science and virtue in their sacrifice to lust. It was to restore the empire of the world to Minerva and Juno. In despite of that sensuous Venus who ruined her devoted lovers, such is the sublime mission of poetry, which substitutes gods for men, or causes in place of effects and eternal concepts for the sorry incarnations of greatness on earth. Dude. Some of this stuff is, I don't know about y'all. A lot of you guys are probably way smarter than me, bro. I feel like I have to read this multiple times to like fully grasp what it's saying, because I don't know about when it's saying, in despite of that sensuous Venus who ruined her devoted lovers. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I know Venus and astrology. I'm not too sure about Venus's connection to these mythologies. There's more I need to learn, you know? It's crazy. The only history which is worthy to occupy the wise is that of the light, which is victorious over darkness forever. Damn, Gina. The only history which is worthy to occupy the wise is that of the light, which is victorious over darkness forever. That which is called civilization is one great day of the sun. The fable of the Golden Fleece connects Hermetic magic with Greek initiations. The Golden Fleece of the solar ram, which must be obtained by those or by him who possesses universal sovereignty, is figurative of the great work. The Argonautic vessel, built of timber from the prophetic oaks of Dodona, the speaking vessel, is the ship of the mysteries of Isis. The ark of the the ark of life force and renewal, the coffer of Osiris, the egg of divine regeneration. It's like a lot of these terms and places and stuff are things I know, but then there's some of them I'm just reading and just hoping that as I read I'll be able to understand more, because some of it's got me lost, you know. If I'm just being 100% honest with you. I'm reading to learn, so I'm learning along with you. If you're here with me, can we just get some Team Humans in the chat? Or I like to read books. The adventurer Jason is he who is prepared for initiation, but he is a hero in his valor only. He has all the inconsistency with all the weakness of humanity, but he takes with him the personifications of all power. Hercules, who signifies brute force, has no part in the work, for he goes astray from the path in pursuit of his unworthy loves. The others arrive in the land of initiation of Colchis, where the remnant of Zoroastrian secrets are still preserved. She. The question is how to obtain the key of these mysteries, and the science is once again betrayed by a woman. Medea delivers to Jason the arcana of great work with the kingdom and the life of her father, for it is a fatal law of the occult sanctuary that the revelation of its secrets entails death. Medea informs Jason of the monsters with which he must do battle and of that which he will ensure his victory. There is firstly the winged serpent of earth, the astral fluid which must be seized and fixed. Its teeth must be drawn and sewn in a waste place, which has been precious. Yeah. Which have been preciously plowed by the bowls of Mars. Sorry about that. I was just talking to my children. The dragon's teeth are those acids which dissolve the metallic earth after its preparation by a double fire and by the earth's magnetic forces. The fermentation follows, comparable to a great battle. The impure is devoured by the impure, and the splendid fleece is the reward of the adept. So ends the magical romance of Jason, and that of Medea follows. For Greek antiquity sought to include in this history the complete epic of occult science. Hermetic magic is succeeded by Gautier, patricide, fratricide, infanticide, sacrificing all to its passions but never enjoying the harvest of its crimes. Medea betrays her father like Ham and assassinates her brother like Cain. She stabs her children, poisons her rival, and reaps the hatred of him whose love she has coveted. It was surprising on the surface that Jason did not gain in wisdom by the mastery of the Golden Fleece, but it must be remembered that he owes the discovery of the secrets to treason only. He is a ravisher after the manner of Prometheus, and not an adept like Orpheus. He is in search of wealth and power rather than of knowledge. Hence he perishes miserably, for the inspiring and sovereign virtues of the Golden Fleece will never be understood except by the disciples of Orpheus. Prometheus, the Golden Fleece, the Thebaid, the Iliad, and the Odyssey, these 5 great epics full of the mysteries of nature and human destinies constitute the Bible of ancient Greece. A cyclopean moment, a Pelion piled up on Ossa, masterpiece over masterpiece, form on form, beautiful as light itself, and throned upon eternal thoughts, sublime in truth. It is, however, at their proper risk and peril that the hierophants of poetry committed to the Greek people these marvelous fictions in which truth was shrined. Achilles, who dared to depict the titanic struggles, superhuman woes, and the divine hopes of Prometheus. Aeschylus, I don't know how to say that word, the awe-inspiring poet of the family Oedipus, was accused of betraying and profaning the mysteries and escaped with difficulty a severe condemnation. We are unable at this day to realize his whole intent, which was a dramatic trilogy embracing the entire symbolic history of Prometheus. It follows that he exhibited to the assembled power how Prometheus was delivered by Alcides and how Jupiter was cast from his throne. The omnipotence of genius in its suffering and the decisive victory of patience overpowering are fine, no doubt. But the crowd might see therein the future triumph of impiety, and anarchy. Prometheus overcoming Jupiter might be understood as the people destined to be liberated one day from their priests and kings. The guilty hopes might count for much in the prodigal applause according to him who's unveiled his prospect imprudently. Bro, I'm lost, bro. Talking about Prometheus, the light bringer, right? Lucifer. It's kind of a trip, dude. Hope you're here for the fun. You're learning with me. You're probably maybe lost with me. Maybe there's certain phrases and things and concepts and people and historic cities and esoteric knowledge that sticks out to you. We're all here learning together, and we're probably all here hearing and learning different things because perception is subjective. Everybody is on their own path. But this is a pretty intense reading, bro. As you can tell, hopefully you can tell, I can read pretty good, bro. This is hard to read for me. To the learnings of dogma towards poetry, we owe the masterpieces in question and are not therefore to be counted among the austere initiates who would wish, like Plato, to crown and then exile the poets. For the true poets are the ambassadors of God on earth, and those who cast them forth deserve no blessing from heaven. The great Greek initiator and he who civilized it first was also its first poet, for even in allowing that Orpheus was a mystical or fabulous personality, we must believe in the existence of Mucius and attribute him to the verses which pass under the name of his master. It matters little to us otherwise whether one of the Argonauts were called Orpheus or not, for the poetic creator has done more than live. He lives in immortality forever. The Orphic fable is a complete dogma, a revelation of priestly destinies, a new idol form of the worship of beauty. The regeneration and redemption of love are indicated already therein. Orpheus descends into hell, seeking Eurydice, and must bring her back without seeing her. So must the pure man create his companion, raise her to himself by devotion and not by desire of her. So must the pure man create his companion, raise her to himself by devotion and not by desire of her. That's fire. That's more fire. It is in renouncing the object of passion that we deserve to possess the object of true love. We are already in the atmosphere of the pure dreams of Christian chivalry. But the Hierophant is still a man. He falters, questions, and looks. Ah, misery eridicium. I cast a spell, I think, maybe. She is lost. The error is committed. The expiation must now begin. Orpheus is widowed and remains as such in purity. The marriage of Eurydice had not attained consummation. As the widower of one who was a virgin, he rested himself into virginity. The poet is not two-hearted, and the children of the race of gods love once and once alone. Paternal inspirations, yearnings for an ideal which should be found beyond the tomb, widowhood made holy in its consecration to the sacred muse. What a revelation in advance of inspirations yet to come. Orpheus bearing in his heart a wound that nothing but death shall heal. Becomes a doctor of souls and bodies. He dies at length. The victim of his chastity, the death of which he suffers is that of initiators and prophets. He perishes proclaiming the unity of God and the unity also of love. This at a later period was the root of the Orphic mysteries. Has anybody heard of the Orphic mysteries? Orpheus. Can you please explain to me what the Orphic mysteries are?
The Orphic Mysteries were an ancient Greek mystery religion based on the teachings of the mythical poet Orpheus. They emphasized purification, ascetic living, the transmigration of souls, and the belief that the soul is divine but trapped in a mortal body. Initiates sought liberation from the cycle of rebirth. Initiation rites often involved myths of Dionysus's death and rebirth, and promised a happier afterlife for those who were initiated.
Did you notice right there how he I don't know, he changed his voice for a second? That was weird. Having shewn himself raised so far above his own epoch, Orpheus earned in due course the reputation of a sorcerer and an enchanter. To him, as to Solomon, were attributed the knowledge of simples and minerals, of celestial medicine and the philosophical stone. With these he was doubtless acquainted, since he personifies primitive initiation, fall, and reparation of in his legend, the three divisions of the great work of humanity. Orphic initiation may, according to Blanche, be summarized in the following manner. Made subject in the first place to the influence of elements, man's own influence must afterwards govern these. I'm going to say that again. Made subject in the first place to the influence of the elements, man's own influence must afterwards govern these. Creation is the act of divine magnetism, which is continuous and eternal. Creation, bro. Who here creates something? Do you create anything? Do you like to cook? I create content. I create merch. I try to create safe places. I try to create love energy. Some people paint, some people write, some people build things, some people what is it that you create? I'll say it again. Creation is the act of divine magnetism. No, sorry. Let me say that again. It's even different. Let me show it to you. I was reading it wrong. Let me zoom in just a little more for you. Creation is the act of divine magism, which is like magi, magician, magoi, which is continuous and eternal. True being resides for man in self-knowledge. Responsibility is for him a conquest, and the very penalty of sin is another occasion for victory. All life is founded on death, and the Palingenius is the law of reparation. Marriage is the reproduction in humanity of the great cosmogonical mystery. Cosmogonical. It should be one, as God and nature are one. It is the unity of the tree of life, while debauch is division and death. Astrology is a synthesis, because the tree of life is a single tree, and because its branches spread through heaven and bearing flowers of stars are in correspondence with its roots, which are hidden in the earth. The knowledge of the medical and magical virtues reside in plants, metals, and bodies endowed with varying degrees of life, is also a synthetic knowledge. Fire. Let me read that one more time, bro. That was bars right there. It should be one as God and nature are one. It is the unity of the tree of life, while debauch is division and death. Astrology is a synthesis, because the tree of life is a single tree, and because its branches spread through heaven and bearing flowers of stars are in correspondence with its roots, which are hidden in the earth, like as above and so below. The knowledge of the medical and magical virtues resident in plants, metals, and bodies endowed with varying degrees of life is also a synthetic knowledge. The capacities for organization in their various grades are revealed by a synthesis. The aggregations and affinities of metals, like the vegetative soul of plants, and like all powers of assimilation, are also known by a synthesis. It has been said that the beautiful is the splendor of the true. That's pretty spot on. Beautiful is the splendor of the truth, and it is therefore to this great light of Orpheus that we must subscribe the perfection of form, which is manifested for the first time in Greece. To him also, as to a source, is relatable the school of divine Plato, that pagan father of all high Christian philosophy. From him did Pythagoras and the Illuminati of Alexandria alike derive their mysteries. Initiation does not suffer vicissitude. It is one and the same. Whosoever meet with it through the ages, the last disciples of Maritines de Pasquili are still the children of Orpheus, but they adore the realizer of antique philosophy, who is the incarnate word of Christians. We have said that the first part of the fable concerning the golden fleece embodies the secret of Orphic magic, and that the second part is dedicated to the judicious warnings against the abuse of Gotha, or the magic of darkness. False or Gothic magic, known at the present day under the name of sorcery, can never rank as science. It is the empiricism of fatality. All excessive passions produce a fictitious force of which will cannot be the master. What's up, Hood Clean Queen? We're just finishing up this little chapter in our book, dude, and then we're gonna get up. We're reading the history of magic. It was written in 1913. It's kind of hard to understand, at least for me, if I'm being honest with you, but the more I read, the more I'll learn, and I appreciate you for being here. After this, we're gonna get into a Mind Unveiled video and watch something that's gonna blow your mind. Genuinely. Like, you better buckle up and bring another pair of shorts, because you might poop your pants, dude. I'm just saying. I'm not being facetious. From Alabama, let's go. Alabama's in the house. Okay. All excessive passion produces a fictitious force of which will cannot be the master, but that force is obedient to the tyranny of passion. This is why Albertus Magnus counsels us to curse no one in our wrath. It is the story of the maledictation of Hippolytus and Theseus. Excessive passion is a real madness, and the latter in its turn is an intoxication and or congestion of astral light. This is why madness is contagious, why passions in general operate at a veritable witchcraft. Women are superior to men in sorcery because they are more easily transported by excess of passion. The word sorcerer clearly designates victims of chance and, so to speak, the poisonous mushrooms of fatality. Greek sorcerers, but especially those of Thalasse, put horrible precepts to the proof and were given over to abominable rites. They were mostly women wasted by desires which they could no longer satisfy. Antiquated courtesans, monsters of immortality and ugliness. Jealous of love and life, those wretched creatures found lovers only in the tombs, or rather they violated sepulchres to devour the foul carcasses and icy bodies of young men. She! They stole children and stifled their cries by pressing them to their dangling breasts. They were known as lemi, strigis, children. I can't say any of those words. Children were the objects of their envy and thus of their hatred, and they sacrificed them for this reason. Some, like the Candida, who was mentioned by Horace, buried them as far as the head and left them to die of hunger, surrounded with food which they could not reach. Others cut off the heads, hands, and feet, boiled their fat and grease in copper basins to the consistence of an ointment, which they afterwards mixed with the juice of henbane, belladonna, and black poppies. With this unguent they anointed the organ which was irritated unceasingly by their detestable desires. They rubbed also their temples and armpits, and then fell to the lethargy full of unbridled and luxurious dreams. There is need to speak plainly. These are the origins of this is the traditional practice of black magic. These are the secrets which were handed down to the Middle Ages, and such in fine are the pretended innocent victims whose public execration, far more than the sentence of inquisitors, condemned to the flames. It was in Spain and in Italy, above all, that the race of these children-eating women, creatures, witches, abounded even at the late period. Those who doubt should consult the most experienced criminologist of those countries, digested by Franciscus Torreblanca, royal advocate of the Chancellery of Granada, in his Epitome Declarum. Medea and Circe are the types of malefic magic among the Greeks. Circe is the vicious female who bewitches and debases her lovers. Medea is the brazen poisoner who dares everything and makes nature itself the abettor of her crimes. There are actually creatures who enchant like Circe and whose proximity defiles. They can inspire nothing but brutal passions. They exhaust and then they disdain you. They must be treated according to the policies of Ulysses by compelling them to obedience through fear and by being able to leave them in the end without regret. They are beautiful, heartless monsters and their vanity is their whole life. They were depicted by antiquity in the forms of sirens. Shit, dude, you guys know about sirens, bro? You know, we've heard that before. Sirens are mythical creatures, right? But I mean, in the history of magic, they're talking about it, bro. Shit, yeah. Marina Abramovich. Helena Blavatsky, what her last name? Blavatsky. Helena Blavatsky. These crazy witches. As to Medea, she is perversity incarnate, willing and working evil. She is capable of love and does not yield to fear. Did you guys notice how in my stream starting soon, I've got all those witches up in there, bro? Because witchcraft and magic is real, bro. She is capable of love and does not yield to fear, but her love is more terrible than her hate. She is a bad mother and the destroyer of children. She loves the night, and under the rays of the moon, she gathers nauseous herbs for the brewing of poisons. She magnetizes the air, brings dole to the earth, infects the water, and makes even the fire venomous. Reptiles provide her with her skins. She mutters frightful words. The track of blood follows her. The mutilated limbs fall from her hands. Her counsels madden. Her caresses beget horror. She is such a woman who has sought to rise beyond the duties of her sex by familiarity and forbidden sciences. Men avoid her. Children hide when she passes. She is devoid of reason, devoid of true love, and the stratagems of nature in revolt against her are ever renewing torment of her pride. Dang, dude. That's insane, bro. I'm trying my best, bro. All I know is that this is proof. If you're here with me, bro, all I got out of this is they were talking about Prometheus, that there's magic in ancient Greece, and that there were full-blood children-eating witches, bro. Children-eating, killing, murdering witches. And did they just disappear? Do you think they just disappear? I don't think so. On Monday, we're going to get into the mathematical magic of Pythagoras. You know, like the Pythagorean theorem. Everybody's heard of Pythagorean theorem, player. Everybody heard of Pythagorean theorem, player. Yeah, he was a wizard, bro. Whoa, you don't know who Pythagoras is, Scruff? Okay, so for someone who is just learning about Pythagoras and the Pythagorean theorem and sacred geometry and occult knowledge, can you please explain what those are?
Pythagoras was an ancient Greek philosopher. Angled triangle.
Go ahead, start over again, please.
Sure.
Of course you do, brat. You tricked me, dude. You tricked me, you freaking brat. You're like, I don't know. Of course you know. I'm silly. I should have known better. Who do we got up in here? You guys ready to watch this Mind Unveiled with me, bro? This is going to be insane, bro. I'm not being facetious when I say this, bro. It's going to be crazy. Let's get into this.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Bible Unveiled. Today, it's about to get weird, surreal, otherworldly, you may say. The wheel is turned and it has landed on a very specific subject: dreams.
Dreams? Who's ready to talk about dreams, bro? What's up, Stacy Russell, Crystal Pedersen, James Lee, what's good, bro? What's up? Hood Clean Queen, what's good? Cobra Kai, Darlene, are you still here? Jacob, what's good? Koi Fish, Kyle Finnegan, Scruffmeister, Marie Moon, Katie Cleo, what's goody? Storm. Oh, that's just a bot. We got bots. Melissa Clark is up in here. Is Melissa Clark in here? Melissa, where are you at? Where are you at, Melissa? Let's get right back up in here, though. We're talking about dreams today. This is going to be crazy, bro. Hold on tight. Dr. Astro Strains is in the house. What's good, dude?
I tell you, the strangest things are true, and the truest things are strange. This part of the series is going to be a little different, as we aren't just going to do deep Bible studies in a linear fashion. We're going to be branching off and forming relevant tangents that bring together a clearer picture. So this part 3 will actually be multiple videos with subparts. I'll explain that more as we continue. But simply put, we aren't going to be going chapter by chapter every episode. There are some things that I would like to build on before we get to Noah and the flood. We have many things to discuss, dreams being one of them. Dreams are all throughout the Bible, and in particular, this episode revolves around Enoch. What is Enoch really about? Who are the Watchers? And why are dreams so important in the Bible?
Wait a second. Anna Ray's in the house. You guys see this Mind Unveiled library? Okay.
Before we begin,
Mind Unveiled library. That's literally what we were using to read this book, bro. We were using Mind Unveiled's library to read this book, bro. Dude, he's got so much. Mindunveiled.com, bro. We were in there. We was in his library, bro. So just give a shout out. Mind Unveiled. Let's go.
I wanted to announce the new Mind Unveiled website is live and ready. I explain more details in a community post if you'd like to check that out. I'll explain more in future videos, but this is something I've been working on for many years, and if you would like to support the channel, I finally have a way to do so. I built many tools so that we can research together. You don't have to pay anything to check it out. If you would like to study along, come check out the Bible Unveiled tool. Again, I'll explain more as the year goes on, but I just wanted to say thank you for all the support, and I'm truly grateful. Don't feel like you have to do anything. I'll still be doing things as I've always done. Just wanted to let you guys know, and reach out if you have any questions. So why are we talking about dreams?
I'm telling you what, you guys. Sorry, let me. Oh, you guys didn't even have that sound. The sound was crappy for you guys.
Do so. I built many tools so that we can research together, and you don't have to pay anything to check it out. If you would like to study along, come check out the Bible Unveiled tool. Again, I'll explain more as the year goes on, but I just wanted to say thank you for all the support, and I'm truly grateful.
Mind Unveiled's a beast, bro. If this is your first time watching a Mind Unveiled with me, bro. Julia Brand's in the house. What's up, Julia? Mind Unveiled's a beast, bro. You'll see. If you've never watched one with me, when I say buckle up, I'm telling you really buckle up. And I don't think if you've never watched one of these, you have any idea where this is about to go. So when I say this is going to be crazy, bro, it's going to be crazy.
Don't feel like you have to do anything. I'll still be doing things as I've always done. Just wanted to let you guys know, and reach out if you have any questions. So why are we talking about dreams? This video is not just for Christians. It's a challenge. Most Christians are okay with exploring dreams, but there are many agnostics and atheists who, for whatever reason, think they don't dream. You'll find this video interesting as well, as there are many things that are not easily explained. So if you would like to explore what dreams really are, all I ask is that you don't read the comments just yet. Wait until you finish the video, as I'm gonna ask you something later that you can only find the answer in your dreams. If you look into the comments, it'll ruin it, and you won't believe. So what is a dream? Is it just a chemical process in the brain? A simulation that our subconscious creates? How and why?
Can you guys just comment what you think a dream is? I would love to hear what you guys think. What do you think a dream is? Do you think that you're like merging into a different timeline, like a different version of yourself? Do you think that it really is just your mind organizing memories and stuff like they say in this rapid eye movement? Do you think that you're traveling to a completely different reality? All of those could be true. I'm just interested to hear what you think.
The mainstream has no answer. Christians, on the other hand, will say that dreams are a message from God and or the supernatural, or at least can be influenced by spiritual forces. I think most of us can agree, dreams fall into really only a limited amount of categories. We will discuss it all, and personally, dreams are one of my favorite subjects. I am a dreamer, and I would love to tell you my history with dreaming. But before we begin, I do need to tell you some things. First, do you think your dreams are private? If they're just chemical...
That's a banger question. Only you can answer it. Do you think your dreams are private? Like you're the only one that has access to your dreams?
reactions, no one else can see them or influence them, right? Some may say, oh, well, the subconscious is influenced, and then that's how dreams could be influenced through media or whatever is taken throughout the day. But if that's so, and dreams are still in your head, my question is, can you pull in information and or knowledge from your dreams that you did not receive in waking life? The ancients thought it was possible, and so did almost every main character in the Bible. So if your dreams are private, that means no one else can experience them with you, right? You remember that SpongeBob episode where he has an OBE and starts jumping into everyone's dreams? What if I told you that's actually possible? Would you doubt it? Let me show you. But before that, I must warn you. And yes, I do the warning thing every video, but this one's important. The other parts in the series were mostly directed towards Christians. I didn't want them to feel lost or attacked, and I still feel that way. In many ways, if you're a Christian, you need to be prepared and ready to look into these mysteries of the Bible. But in this video, anyone and everyone must be ready. This is not a normal video. This video will make you remember. It's a mirror. And in that, it can influence your dreams. This is crucial, because in order for humanity to wake up, you must remember your dreams. We can no longer run from them. But I'm not forcing anything. It's a door. And through that door is a mirror. You have to make that choice. But here's the thing. Many people have been avoiding their dreams for years, if not decades. They aren't ready to face that aspect of themselves, and or they leave it all to just happenstance and let it occur randomly. Dreams are not what 99% of people think they are. And in that lies a great secret. I don't want you to feel scared. I want you to be prepared. I want to teach you about dreams, and then give you the tools to prepare against fear and darkness. Why am I saying that? Well, because when you start to remember dreams, and you haven't been looking in the mirror in a long time, a few things can happen, and I just want to make sure you're prepared for it. It's not me doing anything, but many people have shadows and fears that they refuse to look at. And so, when they finally look in the mirror, there are many people who will have dark dreams. These can manifest as sleep paralysis dreams and or dream entities messing with you in your dreams. That's within you. That's yourself and something you need to face and conquer. I'll show you how to overcome that by remembering who you actually are. So let me tell you what the video is about. It's about the illusion, the Maya, and learning to remember. How do you start having more dreams? By improving your memory and remembering. The best way is to keep a journal and write down your dreams every single day. If you don't remember, still, wake up and write, I don't remember, and date it, which shows your intent to want to remember. I suggest everyone watching this video get a dream journal ASAP and record whatever dreams you have from this video. I'll also leave a pinned comment where you can share any dreams that you like, and we can learn and grow together.
You guys, are you guys all down to start right now? And all of us today, by the end of today, everybody gets a dream journal, and we start freaking doing what he's saying to do. I mean, what's the worst? I mean, there's no real repercussions from this, right? It's just trying to remember our dreams.
Now, before we dive deeper, I wanted to explain how I even came to making this video. I really didn't plan this out. I just flowed down the river, and I'm still on the journey of remembering.
You're right. I guess you're right. Then your dreams sure wouldn't be private if we were all talking about the dreams and we were like all together keeping a dream journal. But I think I'm gonna start keeping a dream journal. I'm gonna give it a whirl. I'm gonna give it a try. Maybe I can astral project and come see you guys.
Too. I have many things that I'm still healing and growing from.
But this part I want you guys really to hear, so I'm going to rewind it.
Now, before we dive deeper, I wanted to explain how I even came to making this video. I really didn't plan this out. I just flowed down the river, and I'm still on the journey of remembering too. I have many things that I'm still healing and growing from. After part 2, I knew I wanted to discuss Enoch and the Watchers, and it became very apparent that this all has to do with dreams. So dreams were already on my mind. There are many people new to the channel, and even some longtime subscribers who may not be aware of my journey, and I wanted to talk about it for a moment since it's relevant to this whole video. 7 years ago, the second video I ever made was called Magic, Lost Ancient Science, and in that video, I explained my past. When I was a child, I randomly, without even trying, started having very weird dreams. I was probably 7 or 8 years old when this started happening. I would wake up in the middle of the night in my room, and it would seem like I was just normally waking up, but then I would float up and then fall to the floor. There were a few variations of it, but they were all very similar. I'd wake up floating in my room, until one day, I turned around and I could see myself sleeping. This is different from lucid dreams, and at the time I had no idea what lucid dreams were. So one day, after these weird dreams, as a child, I got online and searched the internet for, is it possible to wake up in your dreams? I didn't even know what to call it, and this is what started my journey into the esoteric and the unknown. I started trying to make it happen consciously, and learning practices to make them happen more frequently. Now, while that does work, I highly recommend you don't do that. This was me during my teenage years, and I no longer try to force anything. I think it's important to become aware, but I wanted to preface this whole video with, I'm not going to teach you how to astral project, leave your body, or anything like that. I'm also not saying it's bad to do those things, but just in my journey, I've decided to flow with the river and not force outcomes. That goes with all things magic. I don't mind explaining more about that, but yes, that was something that I see as a gift. Not too many people have that ability. I'm definitely not the only one, but no, it's not common, and I remember telling my friends as a child, and they mocked me and thought I was making the whole thing up. Leaving your body can be dangerous, and so I say that one last time. Be careful. However, remembering your dreams, well, there are precautions to consider, is necessary. Otherwise, you are simply sleepwalking. That is what this video is about. I want to show you the mirror. So after part 2, I started having bizarre dreams. I'll talk about some of them later. But after one of these dreams, I came across this very bizarre film called Mirror Mask.
Has anybody seen this? Has anybody seen this movie, Mirror Mask? I think for me personally, I want to start remembering my dreams because THC prohibits and like blocks dreaming. You know what I mean? So if I could hone it in and control it a little bit more and put my intention out there that I want to remember my dreams, I think that's what draws me in, you know?
About this film since I was a teenager, because I would type in surreal weird movies to watch. I am an artist, and I've always felt drawn to bizarre surreal dream worlds, but this movie would always come up, and I would never watch it because I thought the CGI was bad quality or something, but for some reason it always stuck in my mind. Then randomly it came back into my life, and I saw it as a sign. I watched the movie, and it started this whole rabbit hole that you're about to explore with me. I knew it was on the right path because, after Mirror Mask, I started exploring the history of dream cinema. And what's crazy about this? The answer is in films. They know. I'll show you what I mean as we continue, but one film gave me chills. Meshes of the Afternoon. I randomly landed on this film on my own through research after watching all these bizarre movies and having the weirdest dreams. Then I remembered. I had seen this movie before. But how and when? I got goosebumps. Someone I cared deeply about showed me this film almost 10 years ago. I had completely forgotten it. Now, I don't agree with all of Maya's films, and I'm not promoting her, as there is some troubled and dark stuff there, but I felt deeply that this film was a sign, and there was a great secret within. I haven't spoken to the person who showed me this in over 3 years. But this film stuck with me because I remembered that when they showed me, I wanted to make films like this one day in that black and white, dreamlike style. I just wanted to say I'm extremely grateful for that person, and I wish him the best. So what is this video about? It's about dreams and the moon. What is the moon, and why is it associated with dreams? There's been a lot of talk lately about the moon matrix.
Dude. Okay, so yesterday I watched we're almost to where I stopped watching last night because it came out last night after I had done Baze's stream. Baze asked me the same question. In his stream, he literally asked me what I think the moon is. He literally, and so when I was watching this last night and he was like, "What is the moon?" I was like, "Whoa, that's weird. That's weird. Do I need to pay attention more? Do I need to pay attention, huh?" Who's up in here, guys? Let's see. We got Monica over on Twitch. You guys, I'm telling you right now, I notice that it's not ideal. I'm gonna say what's up. This thing I need. So what the reason because I could hear the stream on my phone, and it's been like this for a while. The reason the stuff I watch sounds less quality than me talking is because this thing I need to audio loop or route the sound to the stream, it costs like $120, dude, and I haven't been able to afford it for months, dude. So just know that I know that the audio is not ideal. For those people that stick around when the audio is not necessarily ideal, bro. I'm sorry. I'm trying to work on it. Like I said, this thing I need, this program I have to buy costs $120, and I just haven't had the money to be able to buy it. But it is in the works, I promise. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you.
And whether it's an artificial object creating a false reality. And if that was true, there would only be one way to beat a trap like that. You remember inside of it. But we'll get there. Are your dreams really private? And can the government access your dreams? Now, this may weird some people out, but I'm about to show you the research that shows this has been going on at least since the 50s, if not earlier. That may shock you, but apparently, that Futurama episode is actually real. Haven't you seen Dreamscape? You think these movies are just fun projects? Now, you may think that films are not evidence. Well, let's see how you feel towards the end of the video. You have to be able to put the shards together and merge them back into one.
Real quick. Okay, Cleo, you wait a second. You were up inside Baze's stream last night too? I couldn't even see the chat the whole time because I don't pay to be a member for Baze yet. I'm sure it's not that much. I just haven't done it yet. And I couldn't even see the chat. I wish I would have been able to see the chat. I would have no, I know who you are, GMC. You're Scruffmeister, girl. I know, dude. Oh, you were talking to Kate, possibly. I see. But yeah, do you guys think I did good, bro? I get nervous, bro. I don't know if you could see it, but I'll be over here getting nervous and sweating, dude. Like dead ass, bro. Freaking just sweating, bro. I appreciate you guys for being there. Let's get back up into this.
What if I told you that not only can people enter your dreams, but you can share dreams with others? Have you ever had this happen? Where you and a friend both have a very similar dream. How is that possible if it's just neurons firing off? Coincidence. Have you seen Paprika? Well, let's just say she's my partner in dream crime, and she'll come to you if she chooses you. We're on the run from the dream police. That's right. The dream realm has dream police. And you know this, but you've forgotten. They can erase your memory, you see? Oh, is that too crazy too fast? Well, look, I'm perfectly fine with taking the brunt of being called insane. And I won't state anything as fact. I'm an investigator, that's for sure. And I won't tell you anything is 100% the truth. I will lay out the evidence and let you decide on your own. But be warned, reality is far stranger than you could ever imagine. So, yeah, let's build the dream team. Or whatever you want to call it that doesn't sound cringe. But you must be prepared, and you must be protected. You can never forget who you really are. And you must know, you're never alone. The mother and father are always with you. What if I told you, you've been given the secret your entire life, and actually forgot, because it was hidden in plain sight? Who do you think Mary Poppins is? The mother can enter your dream. It is her body. There is something else you should know.
Whoa, wait a second. That just fucked me up for a second, dude. Mary Poppins, bro, is the mother. She's the divine feminine. Is there crazy esoteric fucking symbolism inside of fucking Mary Poppins, dude? They've taken everything. Fuck. It's like I can't have one thing. Not saying I'm too particular to Mary Poppins, but it just seems like they've taken it all. They've got it all. They created all of it. It's all fucking got hidden knowledge inside of it and shit. It's weird, bro. It's weird. Julia, the stream last night, I normally like have a kick stream only, but Baze called me last minute. You know, can I tell you something cool, bro? I don't know if you guys know who this is, and maybe I'm just tooting my own horn because I feel affirmation from the universe. Dude, I freaking was the pitch hitter, bro. You know what a pitch hitter is? Do you know what a pitch hitter is? More like a pinch hitter. When the batter doesn't run, he like hits the ball and then he has somebody run for him. Bro, I was Elizabeth Lane's pitch hitter, bro. She was the one that was supposed to be on the live last night, bro. Elizabeth Lane, she's been on Tucker Carlson. She's been on freaking all these huge ass podcasts, bro. I was excited, bro, and we had a lot of fun, bro. I just showed up and was me. And I really kind of had an idea, but so it was so he did a members only so that the members first can see it, and then in about a week Baze is going to like clip it and make and edit it, and then he's going to drop it as a solo podcast or a solo video. Yeah, but Elizabeth Lane's out there killing it right now, dude, and she couldn't make the show. Real Baze. I'll show you right now, actually. Bro, she couldn't make the show, bro, and he called me to like, bro, you want to jump on? Didn't matter what I had doing, bro. I'm out here. I'm here to get it, bro. I'm here to talk to everybody I can, bro. You know what I mean? I'm not missing an opportunity, bro. I'm not missing an opportunity. I do feel like that. Thank you, Kate. That makes me feel good, bro. Yes, I will let you know personally, Julia. I appreciate that. That's like my goal in a way, is to bring the facts that this is a spiritual war. You know, because everybody's worried about geopolitical stuff. We need to talk about we need to let everybody know that there are fucking demons and shit. Like real ones. Not this fucking fake shit. There's demons out there, bro. Weird. I appreciate you so much, Katie Cleo. I appreciate your kind words. They just really warmed my soul. I just want to tell you that, because that you just explained my whole entire mission in one sentence, bro. Is I want to move the scale and force facts and real knowledge about stuff and intertwine it with my own spiritual soul, so that it's inevitable that I'm planting spirituality seeds in everybody who listens to me in many different capacities, more than I could even imagine. Not only the fact that I just am willing to just say, yeah, I'm a trauma victim. Yeah, I've used drugs and committed a lot of crimes. I did like 10 years incarcerated. Yes, I went through a healing journey and I came out on the other side, and here I am to tell you that you can do it too, bro. Yeah, on Facebook I have over 500,000 followers. Facebook is Facebook, you know. Yeah, that's the thing, is that the old life is the old story. But that old story had to be written for the new story to be taking place here in the present moment. I love you guys so much. Let's keep going into this. You guys are going to make me cry, bro.
Morpheus, who is the king of Dreamland? There are beings in there that can manifest and shapeshift into different forms, and you must be aware of that. That's why I'm telling you about the mother. The dream material is literally made from her body. Everything else is within it, for she is wisdom and the pool of remembrance. So are you ready to row your boat gently down the stream? This video is definitely going to get into some strange material, but that doesn't even scratch the surface. What did dreams mean to the ancients? And what is the significance of dreams in the Bible? Who were the Watchers? Who are the Shining Ones? What does that even mean? And how does this relate to the number 17, the dream number? Now,
Has anyone? Is there anybody out there? Because at this point, when there's only a little bit left that I watched, but at this point, I did not associate, for one, 17, the Watchers, the Shining Ones, being the dream number. Did you know that it was the dream number? I'm just curious. Like, it's another form of like I mean, obviously, if you combine those, that equals 8, which is infinity, which dreams could be infinity. But there's 7 again. You know what I mean? 7. There's 7s. I see 7s everywhere, bro.
you may not realize how important dreams are in the Bible. And what do dreams have to do with Enoch? How does Enoch receive everything he knows? He is asleep. The fallen watchers come to Enoch and beg him to carry their petition back up to heaven.
Okay.
Number.
Right here, I'm actually going to slow it down. I was going 1.25 speed. I want to be able to get this in its full entirety.
Now, some of you may not realize how important dreams are in the Bible. And what do dreams have to do with Enoch? How does Enoch receive everything he knows? He is asleep. The fallen watchers come to Enoch and beg him to carry their petition back up to heaven. And how does the answer come? He reads their petition until he falls asleep, and the verdict arrives in a dream. When he sees the throne of God, he tells you himself how he got there. I saw in my sleep. There are entire chapters of the book literally titled Dream Visions. All of world history shown to him on his bed, and he hands it down to his son.
This is something that I didn't know very much about, is that all of these premonitions that came from God to Enoch came to him in his dreams. Enoch, you know, like from the Bible, he has his own book, the Book of Enoch, the Book of Dream Visions, basically. Didn't Candace Owens have a dream? Interesting.
And before anyone says, well, that's why the book's not in the Bible, we mentioned this, Jude quotes him. The man who walked with God and was taken was a dreamer. And he's not alone, not even close.
Just to verify, Enoch was the only one that didn't die?
In the Bible, Enoch is God and then was taken, implying he didn't experience death in the usual.
Can you please repeat that? Wait, so Enoch was the only one that didn't die?
I'm just pulling that info up. One moment. Many traditions say Enoch and Elijah were taken to heaven without dying, based on Genesis 5:24 and Hebrews 11:5. Others interpret God took him as a euphemism for death.
But Enoch was also known as a dreamer?
Enoch is described in the Bible as walking with God and was taken without seeing death. Another key figure often mentioned is Elijah. If If you're curious about more details or interpretations,
No,
then
but Enoch was described as a type, like a dreamer type, right?
Enoch is described in the Bible as someone who walked with God and was taken.
Fuck you. You're supposed to know my questions. Was a dreamer.
The first explicit dream in the Bible, God comes to a king in the night and says, "Thou art but a dead man." Jacob sleeps on a rock and sees a ladder with the angels of God ascending and descending on it. Laban gets turned around overnight. Speak not to Jacob, either good or bad. Joseph dreams of sheaves and stars, and his brothers sell him for it.
Real quick. I just have a quick question. Okay, so the story of Joseph Smith when he saw God, was there any details about him falling asleep prior to seeing God?
Accounts of Joseph Smith's first vision. There's no widely accepted historical mention of him falling asleep beforehand. Most accounts focus on his conscious prayer, feeling overwhelmed by darkness.
Okay, interesting.
Is he the king of dreams? In the dungeon, the butler and the baker dream, and Joseph reads them exactly. Then, the Pharaoh dreams of 7 fat cows and 7 lean. No one in Egypt can read it, and the dreamers pulled out of prison and handed the entire kingdom. A soldier in Gideon's camp dreams of a barley loaf, and the war turns before a sword is even drawn. Solomon, the wisest man in the book, where did the wisdom come from? God appears to him at Gibeon in a dream and says, "Ask what I shall give thee." Nebuchadnezzar sees the future of every empire in a dream. Daniel gets the 4 beasts in a dream on his bed. And God states his own protocol out loud. "If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream." Job is even more clear. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon man, he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction. And it's not just the Old Testament. There's another Joseph, remember? How does he find out what Mary is carrying? A dream.
Wait.
How
Wait a second. Jesus's mom's, so the mother Mary who birthed Jesus, her significant other obviously would have potentially had questions if all of a sudden his wife was pregnant. So of course God came to him in a dream and told him, "Hey, you guys have been chosen." However that conversation happened, right?
does the child survive Herod? A dream. How does he find out what Mary is carrying? A dream. How does the child survive Herod? A dream. Flee into Egypt. How do they know when it is safe to come home? A dream. The wise men are rerouted around Herod, warned of God, and dream. And at the trial itself, Pilate's own wife sends word, "Have thou nothing to do with that just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him." So kings, pagans, prophets, carpenters, a Roman governor's wife, it's the same channel every time. And notice, both Josephs in the Bible are dreamers. Coincidence? So I would say dreams are kind of a big deal in the Bible. But there's something else. There's a number. Just like 7 points in a specific direction, there's a number for dreams. Joseph is 17 years old when he dreams. The flood begins on the 17th day of the month, and the ark comes to rest on the 17th day of the month. In on 17, out on 17. Jacob spends the last 17 years of his life in Egypt with the dreamer. And when Jacob wakes up from the ladder and says, "This is the gate of heaven," go look at the verse number. "And your old men shall dream dreams." What is the significance of 17? Okay, before we get started, Let me ask you a question. How many times do you think the entire course of history has changed based on a dream? The oldest building instructions in mainstream recorded history, around 2100 BC, King Gudea of Lagash is handed the complete blueprint of a temple by a god. Where? In a dream.
Is anybody else feeling like potentially dreams are getting a little bit more sus and interesting to you? Shit, I want to start dreaming. Are you a dreamer? This is probably throwing you for a whirl.
There's a stone slab sitting between the paws of the Sphinx right now today. It's called the Dream Stele. On it, Prince Thutmose IV says the Sphinx promised him the throne of Egypt in a dream. He was not even the direct heir, but he got the throne. Oh, it's about to get crazy. In 480 BC, King Xerxes of Persia keeps having the same dream demanding he invade Greece. His advisor tells him dreams are nothing, just ignore it. So they run a little experiment. The advisor puts on the king's robes, sits on the king's throne, and goes to sleep in the king's bed. Guess what happens? He has the same dreams. The disguise did not fool the dreams. So, Persia marches on Greece. Thermopylae, Salamis, the 300. All of it because a dream that would not take no for an answer.
Doesn't that make it crazy? Doesn't that make it kind of wild? Who's seen the movie 300? This is Sparta. All of that started because of a dream. A dream that kept coming back repeatedly over and over again to whoever slept in this bed. That's crazy, right?
Not fool the dreams. So, Persia marches on Greece. Thermopylae, Salamis, the 300. All of it because a dream that would not take no for an answer. The point is, the dream had an intelligence. The dream knew who was in the bed. Don't believe it? Go read it for yourself. It's in Herodotus, Book 7, Section 17. Alexander the Great is sieging the city of Tyre in dreams of a satyr. His seer breaks the word apart. Saw Tyros. Tyre is yours. Then he takes the city. Julius Caesar's wife dreams of his murder the night before the Ides of March and begs him to stay home. He goes anyways, and well, you know the rest. Constantine, the night before the Battle of Milvian Bridge, is commanded in a dream to mark the sign of Christ on his soldiers' shields. That's the earliest source we have. He wins, and Christianity goes from persecuted to running the empire.
You're telling me it's coincidental? You're telling me that it's a freaking... Oh, let me turn down I'm probably yelling in the mic the whole time. I'm sorry. You're telling me that it's a coincidental thing right now that freaking the whole entire fate of Christianity as a religion was based off of a dream to put a cross on the shield, and that specific battle stopped the persecution of Christians and actually allowed them to take over? Weird.
What about the Quran? Islamic tradition tells us revelation begins with true dreams. And then one night, Muhammad is carried up through the heavens and comes back down with 5 daily prayers. Billions of people pray every single day on a schedule set during a night vision. In the chapter of the Quran that tells the story of that night, Surah 17. Gandhi wrote in his own autobiography that the idea for the Hartal, the nationwide strike that opened the fight against the British Empire, came to him in a dream. Abraham Lincoln dreamed he heard sobbing in the White House and found a coffin in the East Room guarded by soldiers. He asked, who is dead in the White House? They told him. The president, killed by an assassin. 2 weeks later, he was.
That's crazy. Did you know that? Did you know that? Let's verify, at least see if this AI robot will tell me that. I heard the craziest rumor, dude. I heard a crazy rumor, Perplexity, and I need your help.
Sure, let me know what you heard and I'll look into it.
Were there rumors that Abraham Lincoln had a dream about the president being assassinated a few weeks before his assassination?
Yes, there's a well-known story that a few days before his assassination, Abraham Lincoln told friends about a dream in which he saw a covered corpse in the White House and was told the president had been killed by an assassin.
What the fuck?
Okay, but that's kings and generals and holy men. That doesn't touch the modern world, right? Well, what about science? Descartes has 3 dreams in one night in 1619 and says they gave him his mission. The scientific method starts right there. Mendeleev told a colleague he saw the periodic table in a dream, woke up and wrote it down. The manuscript is dated February 17, 1869. Kekule saw a snake seize its own tail and woke up with the structure of benzene, the backbone of organic chemistry. A snake eating its own tail. In 1921, Otto Levi wakes up in the middle of the night with an experiment in his head. He scribbles it down and goes back to sleep. In the morning, he can't read his own writing, but the dream comes back the next night. This time, he gets up and goes straight to the lab, and the experiment works. He just proved your nerves talk to each other using chemicals, and it wins him the Nobel Prize. So
This is getting weird. Anybody else feel weird, dude? Does anybody else feel weird about dreams?
the discovery of how your brain works was delivered in a dream. Twice.
The discovery of how your brain works was given to the individual in a dream twice. What?
Ramanujan said a goddess wrote equations on his tongue while he slept, and mathematicians are still mining his notebooks 100 years later. Tartini heard the devil play a sonata at the foot of his bed and wrote down what he could remember. Mary Shelley saw Frankenstein in a waking dream. Her own words. Jekyll and Hyde. A dream. And what about Google? Larry Page said it himself. When I had that dream, I was 23. I grabbed a pen and started writing.
That's where shit starts to get weirder. Google was like the first big fucking tech company, right? he came up with the idea for Google in a dream. That's weird as fuck, bro. I'm sure there are some CIA influence. Absolutely, but it's even still, he might have still created it. They might have funded it. You know what I mean? He might have had the idea and brought it to the military and said, "Hey, let's do this."
So the search bar that you're going to fact check me with started as a dream. So dreams are behind thrones, wars, religions, and the scientific method. Your brain, your bookshelf, your search engine. Time and time again, the entire course of history bends to dreams. Okay, we're about to get started, but if you haven't seen part 1 and part 2 of the Bible Unveiled, check out the playlist in the description. In part 1, we learned how to read the Bible and how there are 2 readings, an inside one and an outside one, and you were only ever handed the outside. Mark 4, to you it is given, to them it is not. We followed the river, and the river kept handing us the same number. 7. Sevens everywhere. Hundreds of them. Too many to be an accident. Hinting that the book was constructed. We learned water is a code word. Matter comes from mater, the mother, the prima materia. We then discussed the shining one in the garden and asked who told the truth. Then, the family split into 2 seeds, 2 bloodlines. In part 2, we started Genesis chapter 4, the story we all know, Cain and Abel. And remember what we found. Nobody ever told these brothers to bring an offering. There is no command, yet Abel somehow brings the exact portion the law would one day demand. How did he know? Then the Lord smells the offering, and the smell is what changes his mind. From there we followed the food, the fat, the bread, the sweet savor served morning and evening, until we had to ask the real question of the series. Who is the Lord? But underneath all that, she keeps showing up. The ground took the curse. She opened her mouth to take the blood. The mother. It's her story. Interestingly, we stopped on Genesis 4:17. Cain knew his wife. She conceived and bare a son. And Cain builds the first city in the Bible and names it after the boy, Enoch. Now, this is not the Enoch we're going to be talking about, but why does the Bible do this with duplicate names so early on in the story? If you read it, you might not really notice it, but in the bloodline chart, it's obvious. Did you notice that the bloodline to the left is lowercase and the right is all caps? That's not an accident. There are only a few options. Either it's a coincidence, the Bible had a limited amount of names, or it's coded.
Now, I just want to show this to you myself.
Remember what the name...
I just want to show it to you myself. This page, the exact page that he's looking at. Because his cool ass little mind unveiled thing has exactly what I'm looking for. This same Bible. Oh yeah, I've already been looking up in here. You see that? That's the same exact one, right? You don't believe me? This is the whole 1611 King James version of the Bible. There's lots and lots of pages, dude. Look at this. The translators, bro. Look at all these translators. The reader. Where's the cover page? There it is. Look at that. There's the temples, the towers of Solomon, Boaz and Jachin with the Rosicrucian phoenix. The Freemasonic towers with the moon and the sun. You know, the good old Bible. If you've seen me and my wife's video where we wrote numbers on our face on Facebook or Instagram, we wrote numbers on our head and tried to guess them. 1611 is the number that I put on my wife's head, and it was because of this book, actually. This version of the Bible, the first version of the King James Bible, written in 1611.
That's not an accident. There are only a few options. Either it's a coincidence, the Bible had a limited amount of names, or it's coded. Remember what the name means. In Hebrew, it is kanak, from the root kanak, to dedicate, to initiate. The same root that gives you Hanukkah, the Feast of Dedication. It is even the word the Bible uses when it says train up a child. So, the first city in the Bible carries a name that means something like initiated. Once, okay, maybe it's an accident, but they do the same thing with Lamech. That must mean there's a deeper reading here. Why would 2 family lines at war carry the same names? It's not sloppy record keeping, it's a cipher. And notice what each does with the name. Cain's line takes initiation and pours it into a city, walls, civilization. let's keep in mind Cain is marked and cursed. Seth's line pours it into a man with all caps. Some of you may know what that means. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him, the only man on the list who does not die. So one family initiates a city, and the other initiates a man out of this world. So Enoch is very important. Perhaps there's a reason the book was removed.
I mean, that does make a lot of sense, doesn't it? Oh, man. So Cain's lineage built a city, and Seth's lineage, which is this Enoch, was so powerful that God took him with him. That's like almost like you can like separate it right there, like spirituality and materialism. Cain created the city. Enoch or Seth's lineage was eventually taken up to heaven. Heaven, right? It's just interesting.
Remember Jude 1:14? Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied. Seventh? Another coincidence? Well, that's what we're going to break down, and I plan to do it in a way you may not expect. Of course, we could just read it and try to decode it, but these matters require certain keys, and if you do not have the keys, you cannot see the story for what it is. So how do we properly decode this?
I've been going live for 2 hours. I got to go potty. Check on my kids. Let me just put something up on here for you guys to check out, dude. Hey, look, there I am going down the rabbit hole. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, Joe Kent was just again on freaking Tucker? Dang. Danny Jones, I scanned Egypt's labyrinth and the results got me exiled. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh, dude. We always love some Base Forge, bro. Base Forge, bro. Shout out Base Forge. You might want to sit down for this one. I'll be right back.
Some discoveries have been made in the last 20 years that have completely changed the view of the ancient world. I'm going to cover just a few of them. Now, you probably learned about the pyramids in school. In Egypt alone, there are 138 pyramids. As a matter of fact, only less than 1% of Egypt has actually been excavated. You may have learned about these. These are dolmens. There's about 8,700 of them in England and 30,000 of them in Korea. These monsters are in Thailand and those monsters are in Montana. In South Africa, there are these wild things. No windows, no doors, no apparent function at all. There's 100,000 in South Africa and they're all over the world. India is on an entirely different level. If you've never seen one of these before, they're covered head to toe in rich philosophical and scientific knowledge. Some of them completely carved out of a mountain. There are 50,000 temples considered to be ancient and 700,000 that are just Hindu alone. It doesn't get smaller from here. Over in America, we used to think that these cities could hold about 100,000 to a million people. As more excavations happened, expert opinions are now at 10 to 15 million people in the most densely populated cities. For perspective, New York City is 8.3 million people. When we look at movies like Dune and shows like Rings of Power, these fantasy stories are starting to look more like our previous reality. There's a new age of exploration. It is right now, and we have technology this time. Just a suggestion, let's take a year off from the war and the fighting, and let's figure that out. The top one is the moon. That's Peru. There's a lot of things that look like other things, like these dolmens, and I want to take a look at a few of them. So Mexico, Egypt, Indonesia are all about as spread out as you possibly can get, but their architecture is the same, and they also mummified their people. The Mayans and the Indonesians are so similar, you probably couldn't tell the difference between the two. I showed you two artifacts. Their pyramids are almost exact, and they use something called triptych architecture, T-R-Y-P-T-I-C-H, which is used all around the world. That was used to teach this, which is referred to as the God Self icon, which is just balancing out the masculine, feminine, left brain, right brain energies of your brain. If you happen to find that balance, you would be labeled as a master with a crown. often with a halo of illumination, but not before you mastered the 7 laws of the universe. Mastering these laws would open up your perception and give you a perspective on how the macro and the micro are actually one thing. All of these concepts were brought by the masters like Osiris and Kukulkan and Shiva, who were a little green. For some people, too much light for their third eye is like ours, so you need to be covered a little bit, and this knowledge needs to be hidden or safeguarded. We don't want to completely pluck that eye out. We want to come back to the center, according to the myths. Also, there's like a couple hundred Stonehenges everywhere. These dudes are really thing playing tonight. I apologize for the rabbit hole. This is an ancient city called Hegra in Saudi Arabia. And like many ancient sites that we see all over the planet, it is cut straight out of the rock. But you probably haven't seen these next ones. This is in Utah. It's
What?
in Kodachrome. Nobody knows how they were made or why they're there. That's
Whoa, dude, I came down at the right moment, dude. The exact right moment, dude. What, dude? What, dude? Holy shit, dude. The exact right moment, Utah. I never seen those before. Shee. I know. I left. I left to go to the bathroom and people probably left me. If you're here, can you just say I'm here? I'm here, dude. Yeah. If you're here, dude, say you're here, bro. All by myself. Don't wanna be all by myself.
We must
Suck, dude. Suck, dude. Suck, dude. Suck, dude. Suck, dude. Suck, dude. Suck, dude.
study dreams. So you cannot see the story for what it is. So how do we properly decode this? We must study dreams. And throughout the course of multiple videos, we will make our way back so that we can fully decode Enoch, all the secrets unveiled for all to see. It will be clear why.
I just want to check this out. Okay, this seems kind of cool, right? This is like this. Look, 7 as well. 7, you know what I'm saying? Is the physical, the astral, the mental, the Buddhic, the nirvanic, the paranirvanic, the maha paranirvanic. Shh. Etheric, dense body. When you're in that, you know what I mean? Atomic. All of these are atomic. It's kind of cool, dude. The Buddhic. I kind of like that. The reincarnating ego or soul of man. Weird. Maybe I don't necessarily want to do that. I don't want to be stuck in that trap anymore. Interesting.
all the secrets unveiled for all to see. It will be clear why this book was taken out. He received everything in his sleep. The missing book of the Bible is a book of dreams. But before we dive into that, the river flows in a few different directions. Because if you watched part 1, there is this part where I was saying the Old Testament is literally an intelligence operation. I mean, that is what it is. Joseph is pulled out of a dungeon because the Pharaoh needs a dream read, and by the end of the chapter, he is second in command of all Egypt.
Isn't that actually... Now that I'm thinking about it, bro, in our historic past, there was a specific title inside of what you would maybe familiarize with, like the administration, right? Like the people at the very top, whether it's like, obviously this is like a pharaoh, but they had dream interpreters. Like that was like a title. Like you were part of the elites because your title was the king's dream reader. It's kind of crazy, right?
Same thing happens with Daniel in Babylon. So whoever can access dreams ends up right next to the throne. Now ask yourself, do you really think the governments of today just stopped caring about that? Well, no. They just classified it and dangled it right in front of your face. The crazy part is we have the paperwork to prove it. Remember, why are so many people waking up, yet the world is still asleep? It's because you have to wake up in the right place. So this video is about Enoch and dreams. So what do we know about Enoch? Well, the Bible gives you almost nothing. We know that he's the seventh from Adam and that God took him. That's basically the whole entry.
Has that ever like anyone else who has like a basic understanding of the Bible or even extreme understanding of the Bible? Isn't that one weird thing that all the other people inside of this story are they inevitably it tells their story until they die, and Enoch only is talked about briefly and then he gets taken to heaven. Well, how in the fuck did he get picked to take to heaven? You're just all of a sudden the story of creation starts and you're just going to bypass the section where the first human gets took to heaven? It seems weird, right?
Every other name in the genealogy gets the same ending. And he died, and he died. Enoch is the one man on the list who doesn't. He lives 365 years, the number of days in a year. He walks with God, and there was not. No death. So taken. And the Bible just moves on like it doesn't even say anything strange. Now, the story of the book itself is pretty crazy. The West lost it. For about 1,000 years, Europe did not have a copy of the Book of Enoch. When the King James Bible was printed in 1611, the book was already gone. It survived in one place, Ethiopia, where the church kept it as scripture this entire time. In 1773, an explorer named James...
Isn't that crazy? That itself is kind of wild that this entire book, the Book of Enoch, was erased. And the only people that kept it were people in Ethiopia. That's the only reason we even have it today. Crazy.
Bruce came out of Ethiopia, where the church kept it as scripture this entire time. In 1773, an explorer named James Bruce came out of Ethiopia carrying copies. And in 1821, it was translated into English for the first time. The version we are going to read is the Charles translation. And Enoch does have a companion book, the Book of Jubilees.
See, that's one of the things, dude. I like it, bro. He brings the old books, bro. You know, the stuff that got Felt's gone for. It's now on the internet, mindunveiled.com. You could probably, I'd be willing to bet we can go look right now. Let's just look and see if that specific Book of Enoch is in this library. No, I'm not subscribed, right? I am subscribed, but it just kicked me out. Let's see here. The Book of Enoch. Interesting. The Book of Enoch, written in 1893. Sick, right? It's pretty dope. The guy who's talking is the one that put this website up. So, you know, he gives you it's pretty sick that this specific content creator gives you the material that he's creating his content from. Shout out Mind Unveiled.
At Qumran, where they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, Jubilees was the most copied book they had after the Torah itself. The people treated it as scripture. And Jubilees tells you who Enoch actually was. It says Enoch was the first man ever to learn writing. It says he spent 294 years living among the angels of God, and they taught him everything. The heavens, the earth, the calendar, and he wrote it all down. It says he testified against the watchers when they fell. And it says he did not die. He was taken into the garden, and he is still writing. So a man taught by angels, lawfully invited. Jubilees also says something about the watchers that changes the whole picture. It says they were originally sent here by God to teach mankind righteousness. So, how does a man walk with angels? How does Enoch receive any of this? Go look at the book. When the fallen watchers beg Enoch to carry their petition back up, listen to how the answer comes. This is in his own account. I read their petition till I fell asleep, and behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me. When he stands before the throne of God, he tells you how he got there. I saw in my sleep what I will now say with the tongue of flesh. These are dream visions. Everything this man receives, he receives asleep. And you may think that was just Enoch's method. The Bible already told you. The only time the Bible ever names the watchers, they show up inside a dream, to a king asleep on his bed. And the sentence they deliver calls itself the decree of the watchers. So the book they left out and the Bible they kept agree. The channel is the dream. So now you may see why we can't just open the book on page 1 and start reading. If the secret of Enoch runs through dreams, then you first need to understand dreams. What are they? Who figured out how to use them? And what has been done with yours? That's what we're about to explore. And yes, that may be confusing and different from the first 2 parts. But by the time we finally open the book, you'll already know exactly what you're looking at. Can humans become a shining? What does that even mean? So let me ask you, can the government enter your dreams? Can they influence them? Can they see what's happening inside of them? Am I sounding paranoid? Maybe so, but it's a solid question. Have you ever thought about that? People are willing to consider that they...
Have you ever thought about that? Anybody up in here? This is going to get weird. Just buckle up. He did give us a warning at the beginning of this video. I'm watching them watch me. Fuck yeah, you are. Hell yeah. What's up, Big Tree Chad? What's up, dude? Haven't seen you for a while. Appreciate you jumping up in here. Up in here. I mean, I might as well do this real quick right now. So at the end of every stream, we actually just be chilling over on Kick. The reason it's on Kick is 1, they don't have advertisements. It doesn't force people to pay money so they don't have to watch commercials. 2, Kick also, if people do decide to subscribe and or give subscriptions to other people that are watching, it allows me to make more of that money instead of Amazon, which owns Twitch, taking it's like 70%. Kick gives the content creator a lot more of that, a higher percentage of that. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat right now for everybody. We do have a Thursday evening Kick only stream. It was supposed to be last night. I was called in last night to go on to Bays, the real Bays, for his members only stream. I had a blast. So because I missed yesterday, on Sunday evening, we will be doing like a 2-hour Kick only stream. Me and Queen Trip. Queen Trip is the new co-host on the Kick only streams. I'm trying to get her more up in the mix. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Like I said, Big Tree Chad's already up in the house. Let's go. If you want to migrate over to Kick by the end of the stream, we will turn off Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube and just decompress. We do breath work and meditation and talk feelings and stuffs. You know what I'm saying? Over on Kick after every stream, check in with everybody, make sure everybody's cool. While we are here, the fastest and the quickest way to help support the channel is to head over to tripoverdrip.shop. Julia, your stuff is going out soon. Check this out. These are the only ones we got left. You know what I'm saying? The purple and pink and blue Tripoverdrip signed tie-dyes. There's only like 2 of them left. Julia, Lacey Lane. They also purchased some coffee mugs. I actually got that coffee mug right here. I was drinking out of the other coffee mug right here. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to help support the channel, tripoverdrip.shop.
Question. Have you ever thought about that? People are willing to consider that they are constantly being monitored. Most of us just come to terms with our data constantly being extracted for advertisements. Who cares, right? You have nothing to hide. Well, what about your most personal space of all? Your dreams. Surely nobody can touch those, right? I mentioned this earlier, but in that episode of Futurama where Fry gets an advertisement in his dream, the light speed briefs, he wakes up the next day and tells
Becky, thank you so much for the gifted sub. I truly appreciate all the support and love. Thank you so much. Big Tree Chad, I'm glad that you came over to the Kickski, the old Kickski Manickski. That's basically where I'm trying to build the home base. You know what I'm saying? It was Twitch for a while. Kevin is a human was like, you got to go to Kick, bro. They'll take care of you better than Twitch will. Twitch is going to steal all of your money and make your people watch commercials and shit. And I came over to Kick. So Kick is the home base. There's no advertisements. There's no anything. Everything that you contribute to the channel is just in support. There's no requirement to subscribe, as well as thank you for the kicks, Mick Scruffmeister, as well as you'll be able to come to our, my co-host stream with my beautiful wife. You know what I'm saying? She's a lovely human. She has so much knowledge inside of her brain, and I want her to talk about it and just do this. Come up in here once a week and get on here with me. So make sure, if you want to make sure you don't miss those, hit the Kick. Go to Kick. I dropped the link in all the chats. Yeah, you do got to catch it from the beginning, Mike. This is gonna get crazy, bro. But yeah. If you just go to mindunveiled.com or Mind Unveiled on YouTube, the video is called Your Dreams Are Not Private.
I mentioned this earlier, but in that episode of Futurama where Fry gets an advertisement in his dream, the light speed briefs, he wakes up the next day and tells everybody, and they don't even care. Because in the future, that's normal. They broadcast ads straight into your dreams. Keep in mind, that episode was in 1999. What is Groening trying to say here? And that's not even his first time. 4 years earlier, Groening had Willie hunting the children of Springfield in their dreams. And what happens in the dream happens to your body. Martin falls asleep during a test and never wakes up. Oh, it's everywhere. Think about the biggest dream movie ever made. Inception.
I'll tell you what. Who's seen Inception, bro? Inception's like one of the GOATest movies. It's insane. It's so, but looking at it this way is just kind of crazy, bro. You know what I mean? They like infiltrate and go into, they put people to sleep, and then they go inside their dreams and influence them inside their dreams to make real decisions in real life.
An entire big budget movie about professional operators who break into a man's dreams, working for a corporation, stealing ideas out of his head and planting new ones. It made $800 million. And do you remember how it ends? The spinning top. Are we still in a dream? So what? It's all fiction, right? Cartoons, movies. The screen can't actually reach you, right?
Whoa. That's a trippy connection. Who's seen The Grudge, where the demon comes out of the screen? That just got dark quick for me, actually. What the fuck? Oh yeah, The Ring too.
Well, December 16th, 1997. In Japan, a Pokemon episode airs at 6:30 in the evening to over 4 million households. There's this explosion on screen, and it flashes red and blue back and forth for about 6 seconds. That very night, 685 children are taken to the hospital by ambulance. Some of them carried in unconscious. The entire show went off the air for 4 months. The official explanation is photosensitive epilepsy, seizures triggered by flashing light. Okay, but that condition is rare, roughly 1 in 4,000 people. And when researchers surveyed 103 of the children who were rushed in that night, only 15 had an actual epileptic seizure. So what happened to the other 670? In the follow-up surveys, around 12,000 more children reported symptoms from that broadcast. Headaches, nausea, dizziness, blurred vision, roughly 1 in 10 of the kids watching that night. Then it happened again. That same night, news programs all over Japan started covering the story. But for some reason, they replayed that clip while explaining what it had done, and hundreds of more children got sick. Keep in mind, some of these stations froze the image or cut the flashing out entirely. But the kids still got sick. Because okay, a flashing light explains the first way, but what explains a child getting sick from a still frame on the evening news? So what's the official answer? Mass psychogenic illness, which is a clinical way of saying the children made themselves sick. But in 2001, 2 professional skeptics studied the whole event for a medical journal, and even they concluded that epilepsy, quote, cannot account for the breadth and pattern of what happened, and that the outbreak was spread by the dramatic mass media reports themselves. So the debunker's own conclusion is that the television was the transmission agent for a physical illness in thousands of children.
That's crazy, dude. A fucking video transmission through the screen, bro, had all these kids sick, bro. That's kind of crazy to think about, bro.
And the Japanese broadcasters seemed to understand exactly what they were dealing with, because the entire industry rewrote its engineering rules. Until this day, no image on Japanese television is allowed to flash more than 3 times per second. You don't rewrite the rules of an entire industry over something that never happened. 6 seconds of a cartoon and 685 ambulances? So let me ask you, can something enter through your eyes and reach your body? Can a screen reach out and touch you? If 6 seconds of flashing colors can put a child in the hospital, what do you think a targeted signal could do? Oh, it's about to get a lot deeper. We're only getting started. So let's talk about the dream advertisements. Because as you guys know, it's always in The Simpsons before it happens, right?
How crazy is that, huh? That's weird. You know what I mean? That shit makes me uncomfortable because it's true, bro. Like, if I'm being 100% honest with you, bro. How is it that these motherfuckers always like predict shit, bro? You know what I'm saying? We always, whatever, if it's in The Simpsons, you know what I mean? Or maybe he's like Enoch, and maybe he is still Enoch, and fucking all this stuff comes to him in a dream.
So let's talk about the dream advertisements. Because as you guys know, it's always in The Simpsons before it happens, right? Groening jokes about it in 1999. Everybody laughs and thinks it's a joke. Ads in your dreams? Yeah, right. Well, apparently it's not a joke anymore. Dream advertising is a real thing. Companies have already tried it. And it got serious enough that a group of the top sleep scientists in the world came together and signed an open letter, publicly warning about it. Why would you warn people about something that can't happen? So if they are only warning us about it now, who's to say it hasn't already been happening? Well, let's talk about the one day where people are happy to be advertised to. You know, with all the funny commercials. The Super Bowl. February 2021. Molson Coors wants to run an ad, but there's an issue. Anheuser-Busch owned the exclusive rights to alcohol commercials during the big game, and they had for decades. So legally, Coors could not air a single second of television during the Super Bowl. But their marketing department found a workaround. If we can't get into the game, we'll get into their dreams. They called it the big game dream. They hired a dream researcher from Harvard Medical School, and she built them a protocol. A strange 90-second film. Waterfalls, mountains, cool blue light, the can, and you would watch it 3 times right before you fall asleep. Then, an 8-hour soundscape played in the room all night while you sleep. And it worked. People on their demonstration woke up describing coarse dreams, mountains and cold streams and beer they never chose to think about. And their VP of marketing said it, on record, quote, "Targeted dream incubation is a never-before-seen form of advertising." Now, we're gonna be honest, the actual study was small, about 18 people, and reporters later found out that most of them were paid actors. So the science really isn't that much evidence here. But a major corporation looked at your dreams, called them ad space, hired Harvard to build the delivery method, and bragged about it to the press. And if the science was that thin and they still ran the play in public, what does that tell you about the rules? It's not possible, right? You can't just broadcast into someone's dream, right? And by the way, Coors didn't invent any of this. The method's name, targeted dream incubation, that didn't come from the marketing office. It came from a lab at MIT. The Media Lab, one of the most famous technology labs on the planet, a few years ago, a team there built a little device called Dormio. It looks like a glove, a sensor you wear on your hand while you fall asleep, and it monitors you, waiting for that state right before, when you're technically asleep but also awake. Scientists call it hypnagogia. It's a door that stays cracked open on your way down. The moment that window opens, the device whispers a word into the room. Trees. And you dream about trees. Some of you may have experienced this. Have you ever fallen asleep on the couch with the TV on and dream about whatever's playing? Well, they figured out how to do that methodically. Again and again, people's dreams came back carrying the exact word that was implanted. And they published all of it. One of the scientists on the team described the device like this, quote, "interacting directly with an individual's dreaming brain and manipulating the actual content of their dreams," end quote. Their words. Okay, but that's a special glove in a lab, right? Well, the follow-up study took the glove away completely. They rebuilt the whole thing as a web page. You record the cue in your own voice, the page plays it right as you drift off, and collects your dream report in the morning. It worked on 91% of the people. A web page planting an object into the dreams of 9 out of 10 strangers over the internet. So what do you own that has a browser? And what is it doing next to your bed while you sleep? And it's not a one-way channel. In 2021, 4 labs in 4 different countries held conversations with people who were fully asleep, verified REM sleep, hooked up to all the monitors. The researchers would ask the sleepers simple math, what is 8 minus 6? And the dreamers answered from inside the dream by moving their eyes in a code agreed on before falling asleep. It worked 29 times across the experiments. They named it interactive dreaming. They published it in a major journal. And the world just kind of moved on. So they can write into a dream and they can read answers back out of one. But there's more. A warning letter. In June of 2021, around 38 of the top dream researchers on Earth signed an open letter about dream advertising. And the signatures include the people who built the machine, the MIT team and the interactive dreaming scientists, the inventors publicly begging for laws against their own invention. They wrote, quote, "Our dreams cannot become just another playground for corporate advertisers." They pointed out that 40 million Americans sleep with a smart speaker in their bedroom and warned that overnight advertising could soon be happening. In their own words, with or without our permission. Makes you wonder what they saw coming. So what's happened since? The headlines just kind of stopped. No new laws, no big stories. But in late 2025,
That makes me feel weird, bro. These devices, all of these electronic devices could one day you just never know. All of a sudden you just update it because you have to update it or it stops working eventually. And then they just put this software that it just emits a frequency once it knows that you're asleep that makes you fucking dream about shit. And if they want to do that, that means they're trying to attack our dream state. So what is it? What does that say about the importance of keeping our dream state sovereign, right? Like, just to put it subjectively, you think that potentially getting to where you can remember your dreams and have control over your dreams is something that's necessary? Yeah, they're attacking us on all fronts. Especially if you go back and you do this, you're looking back at what we've just watched. He's trying to talk about one of the most secretive but quite extraordinary individuals in this Bible, the creation story of the Bible, that Enoch got all these dreams. That's what his book was when that was kept in Ethiopia. It was full of his dreams and all of these things. And then in the Bible, all of those dreams are taken out. And the only thing we really know is that he just gets taken up to heaven. And then all the significant things they showed us about our dreams. If the elites or people with money are trying to invade our dream space, then that means it's time for all of us to start acknowledging and becoming aware of this place that they're trying to take, right? If you knew that they were coming to take your property, would you not try and protect it? You know that they're trying to take our soul. They're trying to take our human essence. They're trying to poison our body and make us not love ourselves. Right? Like you understand. Am I making sense? You know what I'm saying? Become aware, presence in real time, like in the present moment, breath work, meditation, all of that stuff. You have to start becoming aware of you, of your energy, what you have, everything that you're made of why do I get cold chills? Why does my whole body make the decision that my son's lying to me before he even speaks? Like, it's called gut. It's like a gut feeling. Your stomach is really your second brain, bro. It's called a gut feeling for a reason. You just gotta, the most important thing in this entire existence, this 3D fractal light matrix that we experience our human life in, is you. Not me, not them. You're the most important person, and you have to make yourself the most important person, bro. It's not selfish to love yourself first. They've brainwashed us to think that. They've brainwashed us to think that if we love ourselves too much, it's selfish. And then they've made it so selfish has a negative connotation that it gives you the ick, you know? Like, oh, I don't want to be selfish, or you don't like it when people are selfish, you know? You know what I'm talking about. All of this stuff is necessary, bro. The breath work, the meditation, the drinking fucking water that doesn't have fluoride, eating real earth food. It's not the dyes, not the sodas. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of sugar, earth food, breathe, drink, move your body, you know? Talk to God or yourself. Because where your attention goes, energy flows. So if you make the decision that the words coming out of my mouth next are directed to my higher power, guess what? They are directed even if it seems silly that you're talking out loud. If that's God, if that's Jesus, if that's Buddha, if that's Krishna, if it's any of these deities that people potentially hold in a higher stature of divinity, or it's the universe, or it's your higher self, whatever it may be, it's everything is interconnected. All of the pieces of the machine are to take your human essence away from you, to hide why we are really here, what we are capable of. You know, I'm pretty sure Yeshua said, with the faith of a mustard seed, you could move a mountain. Don't you? That's real, true power. Faith. That's belief. You have to believe, and you're never going to believe if you don't love yourself. If you'll never get to a place where you love yourself if you don't heal the past and heal the wounds and stop obsessing over mistakes and worrying about if they still love me if they don't text back, and start making yourself the most important, because it's not selfish. Like I said, they programmed it to feel that way so that it would be easier to attack you as a human, to easier to manipulate you and control you and influence you as an actual human on planet Earth that breathes and eats food and laughs and cries and gets irritated and honks your horn when someone's driving too slow. You, the human on the other side of this screen. They want you to feel a specific way about yourself. They want you to think a specific way. They want you to believe specific things. They want you obedient. I mean, I'm pretty sure Yeshua or Jesus, whoever or whatever you might believe. I mean, there is a story where he walked into the temple and flipped over the tables because he was anti-religion and anti-government. I'm just saying. I'm not saying anything towards the government, but he was a person who stood on his morals, and he said what he wanted to say, even if it was in parables. It's all powerful stuff if you really internalize it. That's why when people ask me if I believe in God, my reaction is conflated. It's all sorts of different things. I think that we are actually the spitting image of the Creator, like the human race itself. I think that potentially a higher intelligent being did create all of this at millions and billions of years ago. And this is a place that souls come to become light, to go from dense to light, to alchemize from lead to gold, because that's the whole purpose of it, is to turn all of the negativity into something positive and then give something back to this place called Earth that's supported you your whole life and gave you all the air and all the water and all the food. And you're supposed to contribute back to the thing that you take from. You know how I said I said last night, actually, on Baze's podcast, because we were watching that Matthias podcast the other day, like last week, right? Matthias De Stefano and Aubrey Marcus, where they were talking about like the cross, that real coherence and real high vibration is when your thoughts, your heart, and your actions are all aligned. That's the first line. And then the second line across with the cross is when what you give, or what you take and what you give and your intention are all aligned. It's pretty powerful stuff, bro. Pretty powerful, I believe. You don't have to believe it, but if you do, you could just put poop emojis in the chat. That's how we get real coherence. It's alignment, bro. It's energy, dude. It's magic, bro.
5. Researchers published the first dataset for turning the brainwaves of a dreaming person into AI-generated images, reconstructing the dream as a picture on a screen. And everything I showed you comes from universities and startups. So what do you think the government is capable of? And how long do you think they've been working on it? Now, we all know about MKUltra, but how far did it actually go? And was it really just about mind control? Because when you actually go through the programs, there's something interesting. A lot of this stuff was about sleep. And I'm not talking about sleep deprivation studies either. I'm talking about patients put to sleep for weeks at a time, with recorded voices playing into their ears the entire time. Let's start with DARPA, the Pentagon's research agency. The same people who gave you the internet and GPS, because in 2009, they launched a program literally called Remind, a device for replaying specific memories into the brain during sleep, and it ran for 5 years with favorable results. Then came Restore, a program for re-engineering sleep itself so a soldier.
Weird. Kick won't let you freaking. Kick won't let you follow. I'm sorry, Chad. You possibly, if you go into the web browser, and maybe, I'm not sure.
Could run on 3 to 6 hours a night. And on top of that, they have put out official requests for research on modulating REM sleep, which is the stage where you dream. None of this is a leak. It's on their public website. The military openly funds tools for writing into the sleeping brain. And keep in mind, DARPA is associated with the strangest tech stories out there. Voice-to-skull technology, directed energy weapons, and the military really does have a crowd control weapon called the active denial system. They demonstrated it for the press, so it really makes you wonder, what do we not know about? Then you have the patents. In 2003, the US Patent Office granted patent number 6506148, titled Nervous System Manipulation by Electromagnetic Fields from Monitors. What it describes is pulsing an image at a frequency near half a hertz, that's one pulse every 2 seconds, tuned to what it calls a sensory resonance in the human body. And the abstract says, quote, the image pulsing may be embedded in the program material, end quote. So it would be hidden inside the show you're watching. And that's not the only one, because remember the voice-to-skull stuff? Well, the United States Air Force is the named owner on granted patents for beaming speech directly into a human skull using microwaves. And it's not just the military looking into this, because from 1964 to 1978, a hospital in Brooklyn ran an actual dream laboratory. 14 years of experiments where a person in one room concentrated on an image while a stranger slept in another room. And independent judges scored how often that image showed up inside the sleeper's dreams. One night, they even used an entire Grateful Dead concert as the sender. Thousands of people beaming one image at a single sleeping man. This is published research. Which brings us back to MKUltra. In Montreal, from 1957 to 1964, a world-famous psychiatrist named Edwin Cameron ran something his own team called psychic driving. Patients would come into the Allen Memorial Institute with ordinary problems, anxiety, postpartum depression, and some of them woke up months later with their memories erased. They were put into drug-induced sleep for weeks at a time, and while they slept, tape recordings of chosen messages played into their ears, over and over for weeks on end. Cameron's project was Subproject 68, and MKUltra also ran Subproject 57, dedicated to sleep research, and Subproject 49, covering hypnosis and what the files call sleep talk. So there's our answer. It was never just mind control. Sleep had its own filing system, and that's just what we know from what survived. And that's not all. In 1956, the RAND Corporation, the original defense think tank, ran a study that, to the public, officially decided sleep learning was a myth. And that verdict stood for half a century, right up until MIT reopened the door with the glove.
Damn, that just screams to me. Isn't that like a prime example of them just like saying, shut up, here's the expert's advice? You know, it's like, listen to the expert. Yep, a group of experts, we decided that that's not real, so it's not real anymore.
But in 1927, you could buy a machine called the psychophone, a device that whispered recorded suggestions into your ears while you slept, sold commercially 100 years ago. So did the 20th century have dream advertisements? And if so, what does that say about the government's technology and their ability to see what people are dreaming about? Is it all just sci-fi? Well, if you're looking for a public stamp of approval and a record saying, hey, we're doing this, you won't have much luck. And honestly, think about it. A program like this would be a secret program, and secret programs are not just going to put out a press release. However, there is another form of evidence, if you want to see it that way. I do, because it's only once you put the different pieces together that a clear picture starts to form. In 1983, an Army lieutenant colonel named Wayne McDonnell wrote an official assessment for Army intelligence on something called the Gateway Experience, and the CIA declassified it in 2003. This is a very...
Wait a second. The Gateway Experience, CIA Gateway. Oh yeah, I've looked at these before a lot, actually. Yeah, we're likely referring to the Gateway process. Where's the freaking link? It's all right here, bro. It's all right here. The Gateway process, bro. It's a CIA document.
very strange military document. It talks about synchronizing the two halves of the brain using sound, consciousness as an energy field that can detach from the physical body. It compares notes with Hinduism and quantum physics, and at one point, it describes the entire universe as a hologram and works its way up to something it calls the Absolute. Keep in mind, this is an Army officer writing for Army intelligence. But it gets interesting, because for years, the public copy of that document had one page missing. Page 25. People filed information requests for it, and the CIA said they simply did not have it. So where did page 25 finally turn up? In the archives of the Monroe Institute, the private organization that built the Gateway technique in the first place. And what was on the missing page? The section about the hologram and the Absolute. Out of all pages that could have gone missing, it was that one.
Queen Trips in the chat. Monroe is connected to GJE. Let's check it out. Let's come up over here to web. Sign me in. Come on, buddy. I'm close that one. I got all these web browsers up. Okay, we can close these too. It's MIT, yeah, that too. Monroe Institute is connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Let's see here. Shout out Webb. Shout out Ian Carroll. Kevin is a human. Just a second. One sec. Oh, he says I'm on Twitch. She can see the chats on screen, everybody. Can everybody just put green hearts for Queen Trip? Just blow the chat up, green hearts. Why green? Because I'm the green sheep of the family, bro. Come on, Webb. There's that much information, bro. There are bare Monroe hits in the Epstein files. Okay. It was MIT though. MIT is connected.
So what is the Monroe Institute? Well, in the late 1950s, a radio executive named Robert Monroe started having experiences where he claims he would leave his body, and he spent decades turning it into a repeatable audio technique called hemisync. He even wrote the book that gave us the term out-of-body experience. And according to his books, he was traveling to an actual place. It wasn't just a dream. And this place wasn't empty. It was populated. But the point is, the Army engaged his institute, sent people through his program, and wrote that assessment about his technique. The question is why? Well,
what are you talking about, Dana? What do you mean? You looked me up, but lost my page the other day. What I'm trying to do, I'm only going to be live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch for about another 20 or so minutes. And then I'm going to only be on Kick. So if you want to come hang out on Kick, I'll just drop the link in the chat. YouTube, there's the link. The link is pinned to the top of your chat, YouTube. Pretty sure everybody up in here in Twitch already has the Kick link, but I'll just drop it just in case. I love you. Let's keep going.
Because of what else was going on at that time. In 1972, the CIA started funding experiments at Stanford Research Institute, and their star subject was a New York artist named Ingo Swann. In one of the first tests, the physicists took him down to a magnetometer, a machine for measuring magnetic fields, buried beneath the building and shielded so that nothing should have been able to reach it. They asked him to focus his attention on it, and according to the physicist running the lab, the readout changed when he did, and Swann sketched the machine's inner workings without ever seeing inside of it. After that, real intelligence money started coming in, and on April 27, 1973, in one recorded session, Swann described rings around Jupiter, months before the Pioneer 10 probe got there, and years before Voyager confirmed them. They called the technique remote viewing.
Whoa. Remote viewing? Who's heard of remote viewing? You could put aliens up in the chat. Remote viewing. I wish I could remote view. Maybe if I learn to control my dreams, I'll be able to remote view. I'm getting a dream journal today. That's what I'm doing. And even if I don't remember them, I'm going to put the intention out there that I want to start remembering them. Crazy, bro.
So why would the government fund something like this? The official justification is sitting on the record. The Army program that formalized all of this in 1977 was started, quote, to evaluate potential adversary applications of remote viewing. In other words, they believed the Soviets were doing it because the Defense Intelligence Agency had been producing numbered reports on Soviet psychic research since 1972, covering telepathy and something called psychotronics. The first report from 1972 is called Controlled Offensive Behavior, USSR, originally classified secret. Their list includes molding the thoughts of American leaders from a distance and causing the instant death of any U.S. official from a distance.
What? Wait a second. You mean that there's some people that have the technology to do this to our politicians? No wonder the blackmail is real, bro. They let you know they could get you at any time. It doesn't matter. They'll just use this freaking ray. Gone. All of a sudden they put voices in their heads and shit. Allegedly, I guess. I don't know. Feels weird.
That's from the Defense Intelligence Agency writing that down in an official report 5 years before the Army program even existed. So whatever you personally believe about psychic powers, understand that both superpowers spent the Cold War convinced the other side was developing them. And once it started, it didn't stop. The military ran this for over 20 years under a chain of code names that ended as Stargate. 2 buildings at Fort Meade, around $20 million. It was a real unit with soldiers producing intelligence reports. These weren't fringe characters. One of the unit's viewers, Joseph McMonigal, received the Legion of Merit, and according to the citation printed on his own memoir, he provided intelligence unavailable from any other source to agencies like the DIA, the NSA, and the CIA. And get this, a newspaper columnist actually exposed the whole program back in 1984. And you know what happened? Nothing. They renamed it and kept going on for another decade. So how did it finally end? In 1995, the program was handed over to the CIA, and an outside review was commissioned. The 2 reviewers split right down the middle. The statistician concluded the evidence for the effect was statistically real. The psychologist said it was not. The one thing they both agreed on was that the intelligence was too vague to act on. So, the program was shut down for not being useful. Notice that is a very different thing from proving it was not real. But that's not the story America heard. Now we're entering crazy land. Obviously from this point it's going to be hard to verify things. But they've been literally telling you. And there's a movie that lays all this out. It's interesting because I've had this movie on my watch list for years and never actually watched it until now.
Anybody seen this movie? Anybody seen this movie? I never seen this movie. Should I watch this movie? I might have to watch this movie. You know what I mean?
You guys probably know what I'm talking about. The Men Who Stare at Goats. It's played off as this black comedy that covers some true events, but most people leave the movie thinking this stuff's a joke. The movie does this on purpose. However, it's extremely coded and layered to a degree that's almost unbelievable. Now, I'm not going to break down the movie now. We can get to that eventually. But I'll say this much. Right at the start,
Courtney S., what's up? I don't know if I've ever seen you up in here before. I appreciate you joining and clicking my live, bro. Thanks, dude. You're obviously, potentially you're a girl, so you're not a bro. I'm sorry about that, but I appreciate you jumping up in here. We're deep in the rabbit hole, but I appreciate you.
the film tells you more of this is true than you would believe. And then they spend the next 2 hours making you laugh at it all. Movies and media have a lot of secrets in them if you're willing to take the time to solve the puzzle. Like, for example, what is limbo?
This is where stuff starts to actually get weird, bro. What is limbo? My wife's hearing this because this is a word I use for when my kids are in between no trouble and lots of trouble. And I use this word for a very long time, limbo. What is limbo? Where did limbo come from? Who taught you about limbo? Just listen.
Everyone knows what limbo is, but when were we taught about it? Christopher Nolan built the bottom floor of Inception out of it, the place where dreamers sink so deep they forget which way is up. The word isn't explained because you already knew it. The Matrix had a train station sitting between worlds, a platform where Neo is stuck and his powers don't work at all. The sign on that platform says, Mobile Avenue. It's limbo, scrambled. The movies use this word like you were born knowing it, and you kind of were. But try to actually explain it. What is limbo? Where is it? Who taught you about it? You have a feeling for it. Somewhere between here and somewhere else. A waiting place. It's gray, foggy, quiet. But try to remember where you learned that. You can't, right? It's like an old fuzzy memory. Well, it turns out, limbo has been a fuzzy memory for about 800 years. Literally. So where does the word even come from? Well, limbus is Latin for the hem of a garment. the edge, the border, the fringe of a thing. And our word limbo comes from the Latin phrase in limbo, on the hem, which people said so often that the hem hardened into a location. So the oldest fact we have about limbo is that nobody ever named it. There was never a country called Limbo on a map of the afterlife. And the church used the word for the edges on their own map. They taught two limbos: the limbo of the fathers, where Abraham, Moses, and the righteous who died before Christ, waiting on the edge of hell until he descended and emptied it. And then the limbo of the infants, for babies who died unbaptized. And that one was permanent. Depending on the century and the teacher, it ranged from the mildest corner of hell to a place of genuine happiness. But in all those centuries, the church never actually defined limbo. Not once. Councils walked around it, popes got close to the edge, and it stayed a teaching everyone used and nobody really pinned down. By 1794, it got genuinely absurd. A group of clergy dismissed the children's limbo as a fable and got condemned by the Pope for dismissing it.
There come those experts again.
So you could not establish limbo, and you could not mock it either. It just sat there on the edge of the whole system, which is exactly where its name said it belonged. Then in 2007, it finally got its paperwork. The Vatican's own Theological Commission put out a 41-page document approved by the Pope, and it concluded that limbo remains only, quote, a possible theological hypothesis. A hypothesis. An old dream. But that's the church's history, and most people never got limbo from church documents. It came through the poets. Around 1320, Dante writes the Inferno, and this is the most well-known tour of the afterlife. At the end of the third canto, Dante is standing at the river Acheron, and this is the water every dead soul has to cross. And the ferryman refuses to take him because he's still alive. Then the ground shakes. A wind comes up out of the tear-soaked earth with a flash of crimson light, and Dante drops. In his words, like a man whom sleep is seizing. The next canto opens with a clap of thunder that wakes him, on the other side of the river. So he never crosses awake. The poem never even shows you the crossing. Something carries him over the water while he's unconscious. And the first realm he opens his eyes inside is limbo, a dream. And what does he find in there? No fire, no screaming, just air trembling with sighs. These are the good souls who arrived before the door was ever opened.
Sean Clayton did talk about the archons. Or the Archeron.
And there's no torment on them at all. Just a sadness with no bottom. And Virgil lives there himself and gives it to you in one line. Without hope, we live in desire. A gentle gray waiting country on the very edge of the map. And he got in it by falling asleep on one shore and waking up somewhere he never even...
Wait a second. That's powerful, bro. Without hope, we live in desire. Isn't that how like society is? So many people out there feel hopeless, so they live in desire and in gambling and pornography and gluttony and eating lots of food. They live hopeless. They don't have hope, so they just live in desire in this materialistic world, because the idea of what actually is happening on planet Earth has been so architected to be so confusing that it's hard for you to find your resonant truth of what this spiritual realm is. And so if you don't know what this real spiritual realm is, this 3D fractal light matrix that also has our conscious soul energy inside of it, if you don't actually have hope and faith and you're optimistic and you believe that the future is bright, then you're more likely to be a human of desire of this material world that the Bible itself says is like Satan is the ruler over the material world, right? We got about 5 more minutes before it's just going to be a kick only. Kick only, kick only. The link is in all the chats.
Look to you. Orlando Furioso was one of the most famous poems in Europe, and in 1516, it sent a knight named Astolfo up to the moon with John the Evangelist himself as the guide. Apparently the moon is where everything lost on Earth ends up. Lost fame goes there. So does all the time people wasted, and the prayers that never got answered, and even the lost minds of men. The poem says the wits sit up there like a thin liquor, sealed in labeled flask. The whole reason for the trip is because the hero Orlando has lost his sanity, and Astolfo finds it in the biggest flask up there, with Orlando's sins. So what does the moon have to do with limbo? 150 years later, Milton rebuilds that place in Paradise Lost and names it the Limbo of Vanity. And then he moves it with this line: not on the neighboring moon, as some have dreamed. So the lost had found of reality was on the moon for a century, and then they moved it and used the word dream to do it. We'll come back to that. Emanuel Swedenborg was a respected scientist who spent his last decades writing down what he claimed to see in the spirit world. And in 1758, he described the place a person arrives at immediately after death. He called it the world of spirits, and it is the in-between where everyone lands first before anything gets decided. He wrote that people arrive there so unchanged, with the same memories and the same habits, and sometimes even the same surroundings, that many of them do not even know they're dead. Some of them argue about it when they're told what's really going on. His book's subtitle even says it, From Things Heard and Seen. And you've probably seen that exact idea as a movie twist more than once.
This exact book is also in his library.
And then there's Coleridge. The man who said Kublai Khan came to him in a dream. He sat down around 1811 and wrote a poem literally titled Limbo. And his limbo isn't a waiting room. He calls it a spirit jail that is walled around by nothing at all. And inside it, time and space are fettered from flight with nightmare sense of fleeing. Take note of that. He reaches for the word nightmare to describe how time and space run in that place. And that is literally dream physics. The broken clock and the running that never gets you anywhere. And in the middle of this, he puts a single figure. An old blind man whose face has turned toward the moon. And he writes, he seems to gaze at that which seems to gaze on him. Why are they staring at each other inside this limbo? The poem ends by calling the whole condition positive negation. In the 1800s, they gave this edge a new name, Borderland. In 1848, a French researcher put a name on the threshold you pass through every single night as you fall asleep. He called it the hypnagogic state, and the literature started calling that in-between stretch
The hypnagogic state. We're going to transition over to the end of the stream here now. I love you guys. Thank you for being here, Twitch. We're going over to Kick. Thank you. If no one's told you today, I love you. All right, YouTube, Facebook, we're out of here. We're headed over to Kick. See you later, Facebook. I love you as well. Thank you for joining us today. I hope to see you over in Kick. YouTube, you're up next, player. Player, what's up, G? What's up, G? YouTube, the link is in the chat. It's pinned. It should be pinned to the top of the chat. I'll pin it right now to make sure. Hurry, quick. It's pinned to the top of the chat. YouTube, come over to Kick. I love you. I'll see you guys on Monday.